Charlie. So the Raiders off to a 2-0 start. Seahawks fall to 0-2. LA wins at the Kingdome, where they dropped 7 of their last 8 in visiting Seattle. They win this one 17-13. Now, when we come back, O.J. Simpson will join us. We'll run through all the scores and highlights, and we'll take you briefly to San Diego to catch a glimpse of fourth quarter action between them.
At an 0-2 start, John Elway threw on 4th down what will be known this season in Denver as the drive of confidence. Vance Johnson's 49-yard catch set up this 22-yard game-winning field goal by David Treadwell to beat Kansas City 24-23. The offensive pride is back. Players are smiling once again. Their prayers have been answered for now, and their mission continues today against the Seattle Seahawks.
NBC Sports presents the National Football League. Today, it's the Seattle Seahawks versus the Denver Broncos.
For the 157th consecutive game, Mile High Stadium in Denver is sold out as the Broncos at 1-1 take on the Seattle Seahawks, still looking for their first victory of this 1990 campaign. Fred Rogan along with Todd Christensen. Todd, quickly, the Seahawks need a win today.
That's right. They started the season 0-2, and they're in danger of going 0-3 for the first time since their inaugural year in the NFL in 1977.
Seahawks won the kick, elected to receive. David Treadwell, the Pro Bowler last year, will boot it away for Denver. Deep for Seattle, Chris Warren and Derek Lovell. It's Lovell on the 8-yard line. Up the middle. And is stopped shy of the 30-yard line by Kip Corrington, where the Seahawks will start 1st and 10. Let's set the Seahawk offensive lineup for you. There you see the front line: Heck, Bailey, Feasel, Millard, and Matz. When you move into the backfield, it's Dave Krieg at quarterback, the veteran John L. Williams at one running back, Derrick Fenner the other, Blades, Kane, and McNeil. The specialist, and in a passing situation, Chadwick and Scansey check into the ball game. 1st and 10 from the 30. Derrick Fenner over the 30-yard line, short gain. Mark Munford on the hit. Now let's set the Bronco defense for you. Up front, it's Powers, Cragen, the rookie Szymanski. The linebackers, a solid crew: Fletcher, Munford, Brooks, and Mecklenburg. Now in a passing situation, Cragen, Szymanski, and Munford slide out of the ball game, and sliding in for the Broncos, Holmes, Montgomery, and Elliott Smith. We'll check the defensive backfield for you in a moment. There it is, Braxton Henderson, 2 injuries, so Robbins and Corrington are starting for Denver. 2nd and 8. Fenner again, running room to the 40, breaks a tackle. Fenner is to midfield and a 1st down for Seattle.
Fred, this is one of the situations where you mentioned at the outset we have 2 new safeties in the game. The starters, Steve Atwater and Dennis Smith, are going to be out. Here you get a chance to see Fenner cut up the middle, and he almost breaks the tackle here going the distance. Seattle is counting on Fenner to replace the now departed Kurt Warner and be the guy they can go to 20-25 times a game. And there's Corrington, as we mentioned at the outset, replacing Steve Atwater in the secondary.
In his 2nd year out of North Carolina, Fenner picks up 18 yards for Seattle. The Seahawks moving 1st and 10 from midfield. Movement on the line. There's a flag on the play, and Williams is inside the 45 before he is popped by Michael Brooks.
Now, this bodes well for Seattle right here. And you look at the last 2 plays. This is exactly what they want to do: an 18-yard gain and now a 6-yard gain. And I can't tell from here whether or not it's a free play, but it is going to be, and they'll probably keep the play. If Williams and Fenner can continue to run the way they've been doing, then this is going to bode well for Seattle.
Seahawk coach Chuck Knox on the sideline. And Knox knows that this is an important game for his team. They have to pull it together now.
Well, I wonder what he's going to do in terms of the fact that people always talk.
Middle of the line, still 1st down.
It's been speculated on during the week as to how he would attack those safeties, because if you recall last week, Steve DeBerg threw for nearly 400 yards in that game against the Denver secondary. So here's a situation where they feel as if they can establish the run early, then maybe Krieg can get some big plays up top later on.
We thought Atwater was going to start for Denver, but he was a late scratch just before the ball game, and that's why Corrington and Robbins are playing. On 1st and 5 from the 45. Heller in motion. Marker on the play. As Fenner gets nothing. He's stacked up by the middle of the Bronco line.
Travis McNeil moved too soon. They're going to call that back. Strangely enough, if he could have got back before the snap, it wouldn't have been moved because he is the tight end. A lot of people make that mistake. If the offensive line moves, of course, it's an automatic penalty, but McNeil could not get back before the snap of the ball.
Our referee today is Red Cashin.
Illegal motion. Number 86 on the offense. It's still first down.
So they're back where they started.
1st and 10. Here you get a chance to see that Ron Heller is in motion, and I guess Travis McNeil hears the footsteps and assumes it's time to go. He's a little disappointed here. They told us in the coaches meeting, they said that they cannot afford to have mental mistakes in this game. They have to play an almost near perfect game mentally for them to defeat the Broncos.
Clock running, 12:40 to play in the quarter. Seattle 1st and 10 from midfield. Fenner over right tackle, back to the 45-yard line again. Warren Powers on the stop for the Denver Broncos. Powers 6'6", 287. They say that when his arms are spread, he has a wingspan of 91 inches.
Well, that's all well and good, but he needs to have that wingspan at about 1 or 2 yards to the line of scrimmage. They continue to make tackles 5 yards down the field. Looks good for Seattle.
Fenner shifting out of the eye. Krieg giving to John L. Williams, trying to turn it back and nothing doing. Michael Brooks in on the hit.
You know, he had the hold of the outside, but he cut back. A lot of times when you're a fullback, you don't necessarily trust your speed. He had a lane to the outside, but opted to, on the cutback, he ran right into Michael Brooks.
Couldn't be a better day for football. 70 degrees in Denver this afternoon. Humidity 34%. Slight wind from the northeast at 3. And the Seahawks are facing a 3rd and 4 from the 44. 11 minutes and 20 seconds to play in the half. The Seahawks took the kick and have had the ball since. Denver with 6 defensive backs in. Tommy Kane in motion. It's Williams. First down. John L. Williams banging his way inside the 40-yard line. Tyrone Braxton made the hit.
That's an excellent call by Chuck Knox in that situation. You got to figure that right there. Well, we're going to test the new secondary. We've got to throw. But right here, he does a little delayed at Williams out here. And because of the fact that they only have one linebacker on the field, the run support isn't as good as it could be. And as a result, Williams gets the first down.
Last week, Dave Krieg was red hot at the beginning of the game against the Raiders. 14 of 14. He has not put the ball up yet today.
Why should he? So far, so good.
Clock running, 10:30 to play. First quarter. Seahawks moving. 1st and 10 from the 37. Kane in motion to this side of the field. But the ball carrier is big John L. Williams, banging his way down to the 35-yard line.
And Fred, already Seattle has taken nearly 5 minutes off of the clock. And this is exactly what they wanted to do.
Last week against the Raiders, the Seahawks had success controlling the ball and running the clock down, but the problem was they couldn't put it into the end zone.
Well, that was a problem, and of course in that first drive too, they missed their field goal at the outset. And Norm Johnson is one of those people who last year suffered at only 60%. The pressure is on John Becker, who you just saw there on television, the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, to get something going for them early.
On 2nd and 9, Krieg with his first pass over the middle to the tight end McNeil. He's got it, and he's inside the 10-yard line.
That was a great touch pass by Dave Krieg in that situation. And of course, Travis McNeil is not somebody who's integral to the passing offense. But in that situation, you see that Simon Fletcher is going to have him man for man. There's number 73, Simon Fletcher, trailing him over the field. And this is a post pattern. No way. Look at number 73 down the field trying to cover him. But there's McNeil. Nice touch pass there by Krieg. And really, the coverage wasn't that bad after all. Big play for the Seahawks. You think Krieg isn't fired up about this? Yes, indeed. All right. Let's get it going, fellas.
28-yard gain. Seahawks moving. 1st and goal from the 8. 2 tight ends in. Fenner inside the 5-yard line. Carl Mecklenburg making the hit.
You know, Fred, I'm very surprised at the 8-yard line, they went to their 3 tight end set. They brought in both tight ends and a tackle playing the tight end position. And really, when you're at that part of the field, that's more of an offense that you want to use inside the 5, because right at the 8-yard line, you still want to stretch it out a little bit, but they're very successful. They got 4 yards.
Dan Reeves watching the clock tick down, and the Seahawks move the ball against his squad. 8 plays, 65 yards. They've already used 6.5 minutes. 2nd and 4 from the 4. Fenner, touchdown, Seattle.
He walked in. Tremendous job on that right side by Millard and Mattis. They opened a great hole. He was untouched. I'm very surprised at the Denver defense. You had to figure going in, they knew that they're going to try to run the ball. Here you see a good lead block there on Munford by John Elway. Walks in. Nice spike, Derek. Not bad.
Derrick Fenner, 2nd year out of North Carolina. Gets the Seahawks on the board. Norm Johnson to attempt the extra point. You couldn't have diagrammed it any better than that. The Seahawks took the opening kick, moved down the field, and scored to lead the Broncos 7-0.
To introduce Isuzu's new rodeo, we placed it and Toyota's 4Runner in
To Mile High Stadium, Fred Rogan along with Todd Christensen, and you talk about a confidence booster for a ball club. Seattle needs to win today. They take the kick and move down the field and score.
You know, Fred, you said it exactly right. That is exactly what the doctor ordered. They took off nearly 7 minutes of the clock, went the length of the field, and Derrick Fenner's looking awfully good.
As for the Denver Broncos, now they have had some inconsistencies at quarterback this season.
Well, that's right. You know, John Elway right now is 46% completion. He's thrown 2 interceptions and no touchdowns. He's got to get it going today.
All right, Elway will get his hands on the ball after the Broncos return the kick. Norm Johnson to kick it away. Alton Montgomery and Sammy Winder are deep.
Okay, fine.
It is Montgomery coming out 2 yards deep. And Montgomery carries up to the 17-yard line where he is stopped by Joe Kane. Denver offensive line for the first time this season. This is a healthy group, and number 60, Gerald Perry, has been playing the best football of his career. Of course, when you look deep, you have Elway at quarterback, Sewell and Humphrey at running back, Johnson, Jackson, and Mobley. And when they go into passing situations, Michael Young, 83, checks into the game. Moving 1st and 10 from his 17. Gives to Bobby Humphrey. Near the 25-yard line before he is stopped by Como. And now we'll check the Seahawk front 7. Jacob Green, Joe Nash. Jeff Bryant is playing for Cortez Kennedy. The Seahawks want to have a veteran in there to play Elway. And now when we go to the spread defense, the Seahawks will send in the nickel Jenkins, Jefferson, and Nesby Glasgow. There's a look at their secondary. Harper Hunter, the rookie Blackman, and Eugene Robinson. On 2nd down. Ooh. Good hit. Terry Wooden stacking Humphrey up at the line.
Big 3rd down situation now as John looks over to the sidelines. This would not be an opportune time for the Denver Broncos to go 3 downs and punt here. They need to get the 1st down to stymie the momentum that Seattle's established early. Try to get the crowd in the game.
7 minutes and 10 seconds to play in the 1st quarter. And Denver is moving. 3rd and 2. Working out of the shotgun. 3 wide receivers in the game. Complete. And a 1st down. The pass to Ricky Nattiel. Broncos 1st and 10.
Again, a confidence builder for John Elway as he looks downfield. Ricky Nattiel just curled up in the zone. And, you know, Ricky has had a hard time. Ricky is just coming off an injury, and as we talked to Dan Reed yesterday, he told us he's only about 85%. This has got to help his confidence right here as he takes a pretty good pop here at the 35-yard line. Big 1st down for the Broncos.
First and 10 from the 35. Out pattern, and he overthrows Vance Johnson. Let's check scores now from around the National Football League. These are finals we have in. Otis Anderson, 2 touchdown runs for the Giants. Christian Okoye, 122 yards for Kansas City today. Kevin Butler, a 52-yard field goal, 4 seconds left, wins it for the Bears. Cincinnati, no problems at all with New England. Washington struggling with Dallas in the 4th. Houston and New Orleans picking up wins. From the 35. On 2nd down. With time. Completes the pass over the middle. Vance Johnson picks up a block. and is out of bounds near midfield for a Denver first down, and now a flag on the play, a late hit.
Patrick Hunter came over way too late. They had him pushed out of bounds, and Patrick Hunter jumped on the pile. That was totally unnecessary.
15-yard pickup.
Mark Jackson had a reasonable block on this, but he actually picked out the wrong guy, and he picked out a guy farther up the field. Johnson might have got a few more yards.
Unnecessary roughness. Number 41 on the defense. First down.
It was actually Eugene Robinson who jumped on the pile. It appeared from my vantage point that it was Hunter.
If you're ever going to commit a penalty like that, you certainly don't want to do it in front of the other team's bench.
Well, here's Vance Johnson. You can see right there that if he'd have gotten Hunter there, instead, here he pulls him out of bounds, and right there he goes to the head. He can call it either way. He's far out of bounds, and he also went to the head. It was a good call by the official.
Broncos 1st and 10. Now moving from Seattle 35. Mel Bratton and Bobby Humphrey at running back. That's Jackson in motion. Humphrey still on his feet. Inside the 25-yard line. Another Bronco first down.
Good job. Good job of the pulling guard to come out and lead ahead of Humphrey here. It's a slight misdirection. Here he hands off. You see the pulling guard come in, and he follows him right behind. Good block on Como that frees him. Eugene Robinson comes up and makes a good tackle, but not before they get the first down.
Coming into the game, Humphrey, the Broncos' leading rusher, picks up 11 yards there. 1st and 10 from the 24. 5 minutes and 20 seconds to play in the first quarter. Seattle leading 7-0. Humphrey moved to the outside and is stopped at the 20-yard line. Robert Blackman coming in to make the hit for Seattle with help from Darren Como.
That's a good job by Robert Blackman. A good tackle in the open field, particularly for a rookie. One of the concerns of Seattle is they've had to play a lot of rookies. Both Wooden and Blackman are first-year players, and as a result, you get a chance to see that he comes up and makes a good tackle on a good back. Those sorts of things may seem insignificant, but they're not. They're confidence builders for young players at this time of the season.
Give him a pickup of 4. It's 2nd and 6. Elway completes the pass and dropped immediately as Vance Johnson. Not before he picks up another Denver first down. Dwayne Harper had him on the coverage.
You know, Dwayne Harper had pretty good coverage on this situation, but, you know, one of the things that everybody's aware of that Elway has is a gun. He was able to just slice it in there, and Vance Johnson made a good adjustment on the ball. He'll get a chance to see as he fades back. He looks left and comes back right and sees Vance Johnson right there. Wow. Quick release. Right in the chest. Nothing Harper can do, even though he's right there.
You talked about Elway struggling a bit. So far today, he seems to be right on the money.
So far, so good. You're right.
Bobby Humphrey breaks a tackle down to the 7-yard line before Rufus Porter puts a lick on him.
You know, Denver's done a good job this drive mixing up the plays. You know, Seattle had to be excited for the fact that they had a great kickoff coverage. They had them inside the 20, and now they're driving nearly 83 yards for a score. Draw play here, which didn't get as much as they would have hoped. But really, the Denver offensive coordinator and the coaches are doing a good job of mixing up the plays. They're not predictable at all.
2nd and goal from the 7-yard line.
Here we get a chance to look at the brain trust. Dan Reeves and his offensive coordinator.
Bratton in motion. Quick out to Humphrey. Could not elude the grasp of Darren Como. Good play, grabbing him and holding him up.
Melvin Bratton went out in motion on this particular play, and he almost was blocking downfield. He was pretty much of a decoy to go out in front of Humphrey. They could have called that. You get a chance to see, you'll see that Bratton was in motion. Now he's downfield. He's almost set to block there. He's not there as a pass receiver at all, but fortunately for him, he didn't hit him first. And as you say, nice grip. Oh, that stick in those tackified gloves paid off, Fred.
There was a time where Lester Hayes, when he played for the Raiders, used to just rub that stick all over his hands. Then they said you couldn't use it anymore, so they went to gloves.
It's amazing, the gloves that these people are wearing out here on a 70-degree day, no less.
Broncos are 3rd and goal. Elway with time. Touchdown.
Get a chance to see here. The issue is that John Elway has all sorts of time. They actually break off the route here, and he's able to hustle, and he slides in. He was actually supposed to hook a little bit farther out, but because he had plenty of time, he runs right back to Elway. There's no way Seattle can cover if they don't have pass rush.
Treadwell tacks on the extra point. The touchdown pass to Mark Jackson. Treadwell with the extra point. We're even at Mile High Stadium in Denver.
Football League is brought to you by America's favorite light beer, Miller Lite, the sole sponsor of the NFL Player of the Year Award. By Levi's 505, 506, and 540 jeans. And by Isuzu. For features, styling, and price, there's no comparison.
76,273 on a picture postcard day at Mile High Stadium. The Broncos tied the ball game up. The 6-yard pass from Elway to Mark Jackson. We're even at 7. Chris Warren and Derek Lavelle deep. Short kick. It's Warren on the 11-yard line. And he is run out of bounds shy of the 30. Thanks to that man, it's a tie ball game. When we come back, Seattle will have the ball, 1st and 10.
We're here on Easter Island to introduce the monumental new Isuzu Stylus. How does it compare to the Toyota Camry? Let's see what the gods think. The Stylus, with its Lotus-tuned suspension, handles better.
Offense, one team took it, moved it the length of the field. The other team took it, moved it the length of the field.
Well, the touchdown by Mark Jackson bodes well for him and for the team. You know, last year he really had an off season. He only caught 28 passes. He dropped a lot of balls, and many in the organization felt like he wasn't contributing. And now he's asserting himself, and that's good for them because they need him to take the pressure off of Vance Johnson.
Jackson wasn't happy with his contract last season, held out for a while. This year he was given a new deal, and he is playing a lot better.
Gee, you mean money has something to do with it?
Just a tad. On 1st and 10, John L. Williams, nothing going. All right, let's look at the Broncos scoring drive now. 11 plays, 83 yards. Denver used up 5 minutes and 49 seconds to pay off Elway to Jackson, 6-yard touchdown pass. Todd, let me ask you about that Denver defense for a moment. That front line is banged up. They have the rookie Szymanski playing. Powers has not been playing extremely well. Is that contributing to Seattle's ability to move the ball?
I don't think there's any doubt about it. You definitely have to have some continuity on the defensive line, particularly to stop the run.
2nd and 8. Krieg loses control of the ball. It's a race with Mecklenburg. Touchdown, Denver.
This is really an unfortunate gaffe by Dave Krieg. They're trying to set up the screen. Derrick Fenner let him go. He bumps him, and it will just let him go because he wants the screen to come. What happens here is that Krieg just loses the handle on the ball, and it falls back. And so you can't call that an incomplete pass because the ball never went forward.
Mecklenburg is watching himself on the scoreboard and admiring his fumble recovery.
Hey, so would I. If I'm a guy that never gets to handle the ball, I want to check myself out, too.
Marker on the play. 2 markers on the play as Treadwell tacks on the extra point. 2 men down on the field. Roughness against the Seahawks, and there's a loss of composure.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a situation there where they went a little bit too much trying to get something back after the mistake.
Treadwell is down for Denver. Gerald Perry is down.
Roughing the kicker, number 27. The point counts, 15 yards on the kickoff.
Patrick Hunter, the man flagged.
Good thing that Treadwell's okay. That could have been a big loss.
But Gerald Perry is still down on the field. We'll update his condition when we come back. Mecklenburg making the big play for the Broncos.
Well, you know, really it was kind of an accident. I mean, here he comes in and he's rushing, but you'll get a chance to see right here, Derrick Fenner just bumps him and lets him go because he's going to get a screen pass. Right here, Krieg just loses the ball. Now watch what Mecklenburg does. It's 240 pounds versus 190, and he knows what he's going to do. He shoves him completely out of the way to get the ball and roll into the end zone untouched. Great play by Mecklenburg, and you know he's got to be excited because he's saying to all his teammates right now, I'm a scoring machine.
The second time Carl Mecklenburg has scored a touchdown in his career. And let's also add that Dave Krieg has had problems like that here at Mile High Stadium in the past.
This will be interesting to see what Dave Treadwell does. Instead of kicking it out of the end zone, he had to pop it up and pin them inside the 15. And that's exactly what he's doing.
Chris Warren wisely downs it in the end zone. Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado. Fred Rogan along with Todd Christensen. 1 minute and 20 seconds to play in the first quarter, and Denver has jumped out to a 14-7 lead over Seattle.
You know, this is totally hindsight, but you know when you're at 50-yard line, this is a great chance to try an onside kick. You go for an onside kick, you kick it a little bit hard. Hey, if you don't recover it, you're only at the 35-yard line. That might have been a good chance for them to get themselves in a blowout situation, take Seattle completely out of the game, but they didn't risk it.
Instead, the Seahawks start 1st and 10 from their 20-yard line. Fenner in motion. Krieg goes to the tight end, McNeil. And McNeil has nothing going. Gang tackled. Leading the way was Mark Munford. And now there's another Bronco down on the field. It's 34, Tyrone Braxton. He's down at the 25-yard line.
In that situation, Krieg wanted to get the ball to Derrick Fenner, but it was Braxton who came up and really took him out of the play. And so when Braxton came in on the tackle on McNeil, it looks like he might have caught his knee.
Tyrone Braxton, 5'11", 185, in his 4th year out of North Dakota State. Picked in the 12th round of the 1987 draft, and he is in pain right now.
Here we'll see that he's looking off, and Travis McNeil cuts back inside. Munford has him now. And oh, it's a block. John L. Williams comes out. He didn't see him. There's nothing wrong with that play. It was a good shot by John L. Williams trying to keep Braxton away from the pile. He didn't see him. His foot got caught and it twisted around the turf.
Of course, they're concerned about the fact that Braxton is down, but consider this, if you would. With Atwater hurt and with Dennis Smith hurt, this would be the 3rd member of the defensive backfield to go down and out.
That could really hurt Wade Phillips and his defensive plan coming into this game, because now, as you mentioned, that would mean 3 starters would be out in the defensive secondary for the Broncos.
And Braxton is being helped off the field. It appears to be his right knee. We'll keep you posted on his situation. All right, let's check scores from around the league. 10-minute ticker time. Second quarter in Los Angeles, the Raiders and Steelers are tied at 3. Rams leading Philadelphia 7-3. No score. Oh, I'm sorry, Atlanta leading the 49ers 3-0 at Candlestick.
Elliott Smith is into the game now. This is only a 2nd-year player, and as far as I know, he doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of National Football League experience. I wonder if Krieg might chance him right now with Brian Blades.
On 2nd and 9. Fenner, the ball carrier. Fenner with running room to the outside. Run out of bounds at the 49-yard line. First down, Seattle. It was Elliott Smith saving the touchdown.
You know, I don't know if we keep making excuses for the fact that the defensive line is having some problems, but they're doing a great job on the left side blowing people out. Here we get a chance to see that Mecklenburg is blocked well by McNeil. He pushes him to the outside, and there's a big gap there for Fenner, who breaks 2 tackles, and right there almost goes the distance. But the young player that we just mentioned, Elliott Smith, pushes him out of bounds. Otherwise, it could be a tie ball game.
Derrick Fenner told us yesterday he wants to carry 20 to 25 times a ball game. There he picked up 28 yards. 60 yards already for Derrick Fenner.
Hey, if he's averaging 10 yards a carry, Fred, I'd give it to him every down.
1st and 10 from the 49. 17 seconds to play in the quarter. John L. Williams into Denver territory before he is stopped by Simon Fletcher. You see the clock, and that'll be the final play of the first quarter. 2 long drive for the offensive units, and then the Broncos capitalizing on a Seattle turnover. Denver leads at 14-7.
To be the best they can be.
See 2 world premiere movies. First, and I know Todd has set his VCR for this one, 7 of your favorite TV comedy stars go off to camp together in Cap Cucamonga. You don't want to miss that. And then Veronica Hamill, Judd Hirsch, and Lee Grant star, and She Said No. It's a powerful film that the critics have praised. Cap Cucamonga and She Said No tonight on NBC. Be with us. Just underway in the second quarter. Seahawks moving 2nd and 6 from the 47. Dave Krieg at quarterback. The give is to Derek Lavelle. And Lavelle is to the 45.
You know, I was surprised that there's a pretty good gap, and I thought Fenner was going to get back in the game there, Fred. I don't know if it's fatigue or it's the altitude or whatever it is. Maybe he's got a hamstring or something, because right now, well, apparently he's okay. He's standing there like he's all right, but I thought they'd have gotten him back in, because on 2nd and 6, that's definitely a running down.
Fenner watching the action from the sideline now, and it's 3rd and 4 for the Seahawks. Just inside the 45-yard line. Dave Krieg, 11th year out of Milton College. 4 wide receivers in the game for the Seahawks. Kane in motion. The pass is complete to Kane, and he's got a first down.
You know what happened there? They got a mix-up in the secondary. They never did get anybody over Paul Scanson. At the last minute, the safety, Kip Corrington, came over. What this is that, of course, the league will tell you this is not necessarily a pick play, but you have 2 people going in one direction, the receiver cutting underneath. Craig did a good job of finding the open receiver and getting a first down.
Todd, I'm trying to check the Denver defense and see if Braxton is in the ball game.
No, it's still Smith. Still Elliott Smith out there. Braxton must be injured a little more severely.
And there goes.
In fact, they're taking him into the locker room right now.
So they're going with 3 players that are not starters in their defensive backfield. Fenner is back in the game now. And he bulls his way inside the 35-yard line.
You picked it right. He bowled his way. It looked like right there they only had a 1 or 2 yard gain, but he is strong. You know, I talked to him yesterday. He was saying the fact that at 6'3", he said he didn't think that was a problem. You know, some of the great running backs now in the National Football League, Fred, are 5'10", 5'11", with that low center of gravity. He feels like he can make up for it with his long strides, speed, and strength.
Well, you started out as a running back, and then were converted to tight end.
Oh, that's a good point. And I asked her about that. I said, do you want to go to tight end? He says, uh-uh. He says, they make more at running back.
You better than anybody would know that. 2nd and 5. John Elway, room around the right side. Oh, lost the ball and then held onto it. Lucky break for John Elway. He bobbled the ball and then it came right back into his arms.
Part of the problem with the young player Elliott Smith is that he's a little more concerned with the pass right now than he is the run. And there you see that there's no run support on this side. Look at the right side of your screen. You'll see all of a sudden it disappears. Where is it? There's nobody there, and he comes up too late. He'll end up making the play, and you'll see the ball come up, and luckily for him, it comes back. But the run support has to be at the line of scrimmage, not 6 yards down the field.
John L. Williams, first down for the Seahawks. Williams in his 6th year out of Florida. From the 23-yard line. End around to McNeil. He's a big guy, so it takes him a while to get his legs moving.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed that the Raiders never had that when I was playing. Just once I wanted to, you know, it didn't matter if it went very far. I really didn't care. I just wanted one time to say that I carried the ball. And here you get a chance to see that even if this play doesn't work, it plants a seed in the defensive people's minds. It's saying that we're not necessarily just ground chuck. We'll do some things that people aren't used to. Sure, the play didn't pick up much, but it has to plant a seed in the defensive coordinator's mind that, yes, indeed, we do have trick plays. We can mess with you.
Well, they messed with him for 2 yards. 2nd and 8. 11 minutes and 40 seconds to play in the half. That's Ron Heller in motion. Play action fake. The pass is complete to Williams. And they'll rule him out of bounds just shy of the 10-yard line.
Once again, they're able to exploit Simon Fletcher. You know, you got a situation where you've got a pass rusher, and a lot of times nowadays on defense, they're having these hybrid players, the guys who are notorious for their pass rush, but they're crossed between defensive end and linebackers. Right here, we see the weakness of Simon Fletcher. There's no way in the open field that he can cover John L. Williams man for man.
Fletcher last season led the team in sacks, and many people thought he should have been a Pro Bowl player, but if he does have a weakness, that would be it.
Well, again, this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to put people in situations where they can accentuate their strengths, but thus far, Seattle is doing a great job of finding his weakness, which in this case is pass coverage.
From the 11-yard line, 1st and 10. Fenner. Tough yardage to the 8. Kragen, Szymanski, and Powers teaming up for the hit.
You know, Derrick Fenner, when he was a sophomore at North Carolina, rushed for 1,250 yards, and in one game, Fred, he had 328 yards. And so people were drooling about when Derrick Fenner was going to come out to the draft. But he had some problems. He had some problems academically. He had some personal problems, and everybody's waiting. What's the deal? What's going to happen with this guy? And now we're seeing a lot of his potential fulfilled today.
He didn't play 2 years. How much did that layoff hurt him?
Well, he told us that it hurt him a lot. He feels like at this point he would be a star if he would have had those 2 years, but he's looking awfully good now.
Clock running, 10:20 to play in the half. It's 2nd and 7. Heller in motion. Fenner inside the 5-yard line. Wyman Henderson dropped him.
Well, one of the other things here, Fred, we have yet to see Derrick Fenner be hit and go backwards. Everything is going forward, and a coach absolutely loves this. He loves a north and south runner. Here you get a chance to see he's kind of an upright runner, but right here he dips his shoulder and he is going north and south. He's not messing around. He's using his strength. He's using those 230 pounds, and quite frankly, the people in the secondary, I think, are getting intimidated by him because he's running them over.
The ball is spotted on the 2-yard line. It's 3rd and a yard to go. They can make a first down without scoring. Fenner, touchdown.
Another terrific lead block by John L. Williams, and a good job there by Brian Millard. Once again, he goes into the end zone untouched. And Wade Phillips and his crew have to be bothered right now.
I mean, we talk about Fenner. What about this offensive line?
Well, the offensive line is doing a great job. Right there, you see that Millard kicks out, and there's nobody there. There's no run support. The secondary, the inexperience of the secondary right now isn't necessarily hurting them in pass coverage. It's hurting them in run support.
Derrick Fenner having one of the best days of his career. Norm Johnson tacks on the extra point. The Seahawks have had the ball on offense 3 times. Once they lost it, twice they moved the length of the field to score. We're tied.
Famous for is their terrific goal line defense, but right here you see that James Jones cuts out with a lead block, just knocks him flat and leaves the opening there for Derrick Fenner.
Well, you talk about chewing up the clock. In Seattle's first touchdown drive, the Seahawks used 6:46. In their second, they used 6:57. In their touchdown drives, they've used 13 minutes and 43 seconds of the clock. Norm Johnson to kick it away for Seattle. Driving Alton Montgomery deep into the end zone, and he wisely downs the ball.
Coaches love that. They love that kicker that can get him a touchback. And Johnson, even though, you know, they're going to say, hey, it's altitude, but Norm Johnson has to feel good. As I mentioned at the outset, he struggled a little bit last year, and this is one of the dimensions he brings to the Seattle Seahawks, who are very serious about their special teams. If they can keep them down there on the 20-yard line, that bodes well for their defense.
As we check the Bronco offensive line, we see that number 60, Gerald Perry, is in the ball game. He hobbled out earlier after that extra point attempt, but he is back and ready to play.
And you know what, Fred? They need him to go up against his old college mate, Rufus Porter. They need him to block Rufus because that's their best pass rusher.
Humphrey is 1st and 10. Stopped at the line of scrimmage. Terry Wooden on the hit for Seattle. You talk about Rufus Porter and Gerald Perry.
Well, here they were college teammates, and last year Rufus had a great game against him here. He got 2 sacks, and he caused something like 3 or 4 motion penalties. And Rufus is one of those people that can intimidate you. He's the one that has to make some big plays for them, and obviously Perry's concerned.
Rufus told us yesterday he looks forward to playing against his old buddy, Gerald Perry.
Well, now with Gerald Perry hurting, it's going to be that much more difficult for him.
No gain. It's 2nd and 10. 8 minutes and 45 seconds to play in the half. Play action for Elway. Has time. Over the middle. Johnson has the ball, and he has a first down. Dwayne Harper dropped him.
That wasn't the play to have Rufus Porter out. They really needed a pass rush there. Vance Johnson is going to run a simple in route, but what's going to happen here is that he's got so much time that Elway waves him across even farther. Look at the time that Elway has to look. He looks left, looks right. Now he sees Johnson, says, wait. Okay, now he comes over a little bit farther, and there it is. That's just too much time for Elway to have, you know, to pick apart the secondary, and that's going to be frustrating for Seattle because they're actually in pretty good coverage.
13-yard gain, 1st and 10 from the 33. Sewell and Humphrey in the backfield behind John Elway. Has time. Has Sewell. And he stopped at the 40.
One of the reasons they have Steve Sewell in the lineup is for this very reason right here. Last year, Steve Sewell had a 16.6 average per catch, the highest in the league for running backs. They admit to the fact that they give up a little bit of blocking with Sewell versus Bratton, but they think that added dimension that he gives as a receiver coming out of the backfield makes it difficult for the defenses to key upon him and he alone.
2nd and 2. 2 tight end in for the Broncos. Humphrey. Close to the first down. Cortez Kennedy and Nesby Glasgow on the hit for Seattle.
One of the reasons we haven't been calling Bobby Humphrey's name that often is because they just flatly haven't been out on the field. As you mentioned, time of possession. Really, that's the best way to defeat John Elway is to keep him off the field, and so far, Seattle's done a good job of that.
Humphrey, the leading ball carrier on the club. Picks up the first down. Clock running, 6:50 to play in the half. Score tied at 14. Denver 1st and 10. Humphrey with the pitch. Picks up a block. Marker comes flying into the pile.
I think they're going to call holding in this situation. Clarence Kay got a good block off the line of scrimmage, and that's a crucial matchup for this game. Clarence Kay, who is one of, if not the best blocking tight end in the league, is somebody who is going against Rufus Porter, who is 225 pounds, but really a buffed up 225 pounds. He's a natural 210-pounder. So I think that's a weakness that they're going to want to exploit.
Oh, you saw Red Cashin with a preliminary indication.
Holding during the run. Number 88 on the offense. 10 yards from the spot of the foul, still first down.
You know, at the top of the show, Fred, we documented Clarence Kay's problems, and there he is. He's begging with the official to say it wasn't me. You know, he wants to put all this behind him now and just play football, and I think that he's very fortunate to have somebody like Dan Reeves, who's been very patient with him. When we talked with Dan yesterday, we addressed this issue that Paul Tagliabue has now addressed and made the point that, yes, this is all behind us now. Let's give Clarence the chance to play football and not talk about these things.
We'll touch on that more in just a moment. Now 1st and 16 from the 38. They wanted movement. And that's ruled incomplete. Cashin with a late call of an incomplete pass. Back to that for a second, Todd. Dan Reeves has been very patient with a number of players on this squad. He does not give up on his players quickly.
Well, I think one of the reasons that he's been here for a decade is not simply the fact that he's brought them 3 AFC championships, but he has a great rapport with his players. Here we'll get a chance to see that here Rufus Porter once again beats his buddy, and he gets past Bobby Humphrey, who's no match for him. Right in the back, he gets Elway. And that's something that he's got to be frustrated with. He's telling Bobby Humphrey right now, don't let that happen again.
I don't like surprises. 2nd and 16. Moving from the 38-yard line. Elway in trouble, and down he goes. Rufus Porter again, Todd.
And Rufus Porter beat 2 people on this situation. They had both Gerald Perry and I believe it's Mobley in to try to block against him. But he was much too quick for them. Great speed at the outset. Here we'll get a chance to see. Watch at the right of your screen. With great speed, you'll see Rufus Porter. There, he gets past Perry, he gets past Mobley, and Elway's got no chance.
Porter has been in the Pro Bowl 2 years in a row as a special teams player. This is the first chance he's really getting to play every down.
Well, that's right, and he told us yesterday when he had a chance to talk with him, he says, look, I want to be known as a player. I don't want to be known just as a fringe player who runs under kicks. I want to be somebody that's known who plays the run and gets sacks as well, and right now, he's proven himself the last 2 plays.
3 wide receivers in for the Broncos. Markers on the play.
I think Rufus got off a little too quick.
Elway is down in the end zone. Now what is the call?
He's going to call it a safety, but I think it's going to be a free play. I think that Rufus got off the mark just a little too quick, and he's going to be very disappointed in himself because this is a huge play.
Yep. Rufus took a running start.
James Jefferson is the one who showed great speed there in getting the sack, and I know that Rufus has to be a little bit upset with himself. You know, you get excited in this situation.
Offside. Number 97 on the defense. Still 3rd down.
You know, Rufus is really full of himself. You know, the last 2 plays, hey, I really kicked butt. Now check me out. Now he wants a running start, but he didn't move. Wait a minute. His left foot. There it is. Okay, yeah. He anticipated the count. I don't know. That's kind of iffy right there. You know, he's kind of mind reading there. I'm not sure that was offsides at all.
Iffy. The guy ran across the line before the ball was snapped.
No. He flexes a little bit. That doesn't mean he's across the line of scrimmage. If you'd have played this game, Fred, you'd know what I was talking about.
So he is so enormous that just by flexing, he moved across the line but didn't take that step.
Hey, believe me, I will bet you before the end of the game, Gerald Perry is going to get a motion penalty because Porter's going to drive him crazy.
All right, on 3rd and 21.
Here he comes.
Elway gets away from him and dumps it off to Sewell. Sewell is stopped at the 45-yard line by Patrick Hunter. The Seahawks swarming over John Elway.
You know what? This isn't going to be a first down. They're going to have to punt, but this really shows the tremendous athleticism of John Elway, and this is what makes him so special. Here they're going completely to the other side of the field. He gets bumped by Brett, and then Perry has him, and they say, well, Elway's the other side of the field. He'll never get there. Look at the speed. He comes in, and he jumps right there. He shouldn't have jumped, and right there, Elway shows how nimble he is to get away and get them a game.
Haran punting the ball, and it's out of bounds at the 10. James Jefferson was deep for the Seahawks.
Great kick by Haran. Pins him inside the 20.
4.5 minutes to play in the half. We'll be back to Mile High Stadium.
Because at this time of year, You can't hide inside a sweater.
It's the right beer now.
Because you know what to do when good times are on the line.
It's the right beer now.
After working hard to take it off, you don't want to put it back on. Reach for the silver bullet, the one that won't slow you down.
It's right. It's the right beer now. Yeah.
Here's another demonstration of Chevy versus Ford. This one has socially redeeming values. We're loading up these full-size pickups with recyclables. The Chevy has a standard payload advantage of over 400 pounds.
That's a pile of payload the Ford leaves behind.
No wonder so many truck owners recycle their trucks for Chevys. More people are winning with
The heartbeat of America.
today's truck is Chevrolet.
Oh, 5 more minutes. It's our anniversary. Let's call in sick.
Can't.
Oh, 10 years deserves something.
True.
Haven't I made you coffee for 10 years?
Haven't I had to drink it? Now, come on.
Why?
Show your friends this. Happy anniversary.
Oh, it's beautiful.
The Diamond Anniversary Band. This year. Tell her you'd marry her all over again.
Okay, I'll show him. Tomorrow.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by today's truck, Chevrolet. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. By United Airlines, serving over 200 cities in the U.S. and around the world. Come fly the friendly skies. And by Liberty Mutual. For your insurance and financial service needs, America believes in Liberty Mutual.
The 44-yard punt pins the Seahawks at their own 10-yard line, 1st and 10. 4 minutes and 30 seconds to play in the half. Krieg, watch out from the backside, just gets it away and completes the pass to Tommy Kane. Kane to the 30-yard line, a Seahawk first down. Elliott Smith on the hit.
Elliott Smith gave him way too much cushion to that situation. Carl Mecklenburg is almost going to get there, and he hits him in the back, but that's the veteran quarterback right there, showing the ability to throw under pressure. Here you'll see he cuts upfield, and Derrick Fenner is taking him on. He said he would do that. He should have never attempted the cut block, because right there, Krieg is going to pay for it. But that shows the savvy of Krieg to complete the pass downfield. Big play for the Seahawks.
By hanging in, Krieg able to complete a 20-yard pass for a first down. From the 30, Seahawks 1st and 10. 3:55 to play in the half. John L. Williams. Mark Munford on the stop.
John L. waited too long to let that play develop. That's something that you have to attack, and he was waiting too long to make it to wait and see, pick and slide, duck and dodge, and as a result, he gets no gain.
We receive word now from the Bronco bench that Tyrone Braxton has a hyperextended knee, and he'll be out for the rest of the half. So they've got an inexperienced defensive backfield for the Broncos.
And you know, Fred, right now, I know that their game plan is to run the ball, but with 3 minutes left in the half, this would be an excellent time to test this untested secondary.
Maybe they're listening. Williams, first down. Simon Fletcher ran him out. It'll be close. It'll depend on the spot of the ball.
Once again, we're talking about Simon Fletcher getting back in pass coverage, and he left the flat alone. That's too much room for somebody like John L. Williams, and quite frankly, that's John L. Williams' forte, is catching the ball out of the backfield. That's probably what he does best.
Well, they mark it a yard shy, so it's 3rd and 1. Clock running, 2:50 to play in the half. Williams, fumble! Still loose. The Broncos have it.
Go ahead.
The time has come for a new kind of full-size luxury. The 1991 Chevrolet Caprice. The most spacious Caprice of all time. A quiet place, where 6 adults can enjoy standards of luxury they won't find in many more expensive cars. And that, perhaps, is the greatest luxury of all. The time has come for the new Chevrolet Caprice. Prepare to be impressed.
Just a reminder, proper maintenance with AC Delco parts can significantly reduce premature wrinkles. AC Delco, it's like buying time.
Liberty Mutual presents The Accident That Never Happened. Because as America's largest insurer for workers' compensation, Liberty Mutual has done more to help prevent injuries on the job than any other insurance company. Caring for people is why America believes in liberty.
Great view, huh?
America believes in liberty. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
John Becker told us at the outset of the game that one of the things the Seahawks could not afford was turnovers and mental mistakes. Really, this is a physical mistake and one that surprises a lot of people. John Elway, for only the 6th time in his career, coughs up the ball, and there it lays. Randy Robbins finally jumps on it for the Broncos.
Fred Rogan and Todd Christensen at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado. 2:34 to play in the half. The Broncos and the Seahawks are tied at 14. Denver trying to take advantage of the turnover. Now moving 1st and 10 from the 43. Mel Blanton. Fumble!
Seattle got it back, it appears.
No, it looks like the Broncos fell on the ball. Doug Waddell, 67.
Well, that was surprising. It looked to me it fell right into the Seahawks' arms. The guy must have got in and fought for it. Here you get a chance to see that right there. Big hit there by Hayes, and it looks like it's right in his stomach. But right there, Waddell goes in and takes it away. Heads-up play by Waddell.
Bobby Humphrey inside the 35-yard line. You spoke of Waddell. His brother Dave Waddell also plays on the Broncos.
That's right. And that's the first brother team that I can remember since Miami when the safeties were Glenn and Lyle Blackwood.
2 minutes to play in the half. We're tied at 14.
If you want to go places in any career, ask yourself, can I perform under pressure? Can I be counted on to get the job done? You can learn how in the Army, so when you're ready to take off, you'll know you can go far.
Getting to know you, getting to know all about you.
Of all the cars and trucks people could choose, more people chose Geo in its first year than Honda, Toyota, and Nissan combined in their first 2 years. Get to know Geo at your Chevrolet Geo dealers.
Getting to know.
There's a new attitude at Northwest Airlines, a new dedication to service. You can see it in our on-time performance, the best of the top 7 U.S. airlines. That's our commitment, to make sure you're on time for your commitments.
Watch your step, folks.
I'm so thirsty.
Look at that, a brand new stage.
It must have cost a bundle.
Well, that's why he's using Conoco unleaded.
Won't have to worry about costly breakdown. Yep, breakdowns out here in the Badlands can be real dangerous.
Averting daylight, come on.
Have a good trip.
Conoco. Hottest brand going.
That's our story in Denver. 14-14, 2 minutes to play. And don't forget, coming up at halftime, NFL Live, Bob Costas, O.J. Simpson, Will McDonough, scores and highlights from around the National Football League. And they'll also be speaking with Commissioner Paul Tagliabue. Here are some of the things on NFL Live you may have heard earlier today. The commissioner saying that he's not going to take any action regarding Bronco Clarence Kay's DUI arrest. And Will McDonough reported that the Saints quarterback Bobby Hebert not part of a 3-way trade involving the Raiders and Cowboys. That was on NFL Live. We'll update you at halftime. Here it's 3rd and 1. Oh, movement. And a little more than that. Jacob Green, well, if you're going to jump, really jump.
As defensive linemen always do, he's talking about the fact that someone drew him off. But from this vantage point, it was hard to tell. They will decide in the caucus on the field.
Encroachment by the defense. First down.
Red Cashing didn't buy it.
And that's unfortunate. Once again, that's a mental error. You know, in that situation, you know, obviously Jacob is trying to get a situation where he can get inside the gap. Right there, he wants to beat it. And you know, he was able to get back the first time, but then he double clutched and jumps off sides.
Maybe that flex.
You're going to bug me about that all day, aren't you? Okay, I'll give you that one. He was off sides.
2 minutes to play. 1st and 10 from the 29. Humphrey in motion. Elway pump fake. Long ball. Touchdown.
Jackson on the pump fake was able to cut up the field. A flag is thrown. They're going to call him for celebrating in the end zone. But that was a great touch pass by John Elway. What it originally is supposed to be is a slant. Mark Jackson's supposed to cut inside on kind of a semi-slant and then cut up the field. The coverage was actually pretty good, but you can't throw it any better than Elway did.
Have a touchdown, unsportsmanlike conduct for demonstration on number 80. There'll be a 5-yard penalty on the kickoff.
You know, as far as I was concerned, Fred, that was kind of a non-rhythmic demonstration anyway. I would give it a 6 at best.
Shouldn't have penalized him, just deducted points from his dance score.
Yeah, he embarrassed himself as it was, right?
Treadwell adds the extra point. So the Broncos taking advantage of the turnover, lead it by 7.
Happened to have watched in the Isuzu Quarterback Challenge. He actually won the touch contest. And here's an example of it right here. Great touch pass there to Mark Jackson, followed by a pretty weak dance. I don't get it. You're going to penalize that?
Now, what was it that Paul Brown used to say?
Paul Brown used to say to his players, hey, when you score a touchdown, act like you've been there before. And Mark Jackson's been there twice today. You'd have thought he'd have figured it out by now.
Warren and Lavelle back deep for the Seahawks. Squib kick by Treadwell. McNeil plays the hop. Big Travis McNeil trying to get to the outside, and he's dropped to 37. All right, let's check the scoring drive now. 3 plays, 43 yards, the key, 40 seconds.
You know, one of the things here, Fred, that's crucial is that every time near the end of the first half, we always see somebody kick off with a squib kick. I don't understand that, because right now they start at the 38-yard line, and they're 3 first downs away from a field goal. Why not kick it deep? I don't know if that was an accident or not, but that really gives Seattle right now good field position.
So the Seahawks, good point, move 1st and 10 from their 37. A minute 47 to play. Craig 6 for 6 today. Last week he completed his first 14. 4 wide receivers in the game for the Seahawks. With time, batted down at the line of scrimmage. It looked like big number 91, Warren Powers. And Jake McCullough is having words down there with Grant Fiesel.
They did a good job pressuring up the middle. Dave Krieg is not a tall quarterback, but then again, he has kind of a 3/4 release, and that's where they're able to bat it down.
Craig's first miss of the day, and what a difference a year makes. November 26th, the last time these clubs met. Broncos led 38-0 at the half. The Seahawks very much alive today.
This is turning into a good game and a more high scoring than we would have anticipated. Right there, you see he gets the big arm up, and he had a receiver in the middle of the field. Big play for the Broncos.
A minute 43 to play in the half. Both teams have 3 timeouts.
Jake McCullough, the pride of Lawrence, South Carolina, population 2149.
Craig, markers on the play, and they kill it.
One of the things that I'm noticing out on the field, Fred, is that the Seahawks are really taking a chance. When other teams play against the Broncos.
False start. The line of the offense, 5 yards, still 2nd down.
When other teams play against the Broncos, what they will do is they will wham or they will slant their line to the side that Carl Mecklenburg is on, which means that they will put a tackle on Carl Mecklenburg. So far, all the Seahawks have done is that they trust that their running backs are good enough blockers to keep Mecklenburg out. So both Fenner and John Elway have done a pretty good job thus far with Mecklenburg, even though he does have the one big play.
2nd and 15, a minute 40 to play. Seahawks, 4 wide receivers in the game. Craig has time. John L. Williams. and gets out of bounds to kill the clock.
And that was a big block by Brian Blades that he just laid on Simon Fletcher downfield. John L. Williams, being the veteran, knew what he was doing. He knew he wasn't going to get a big pickup there, so he got out of bounds and saved the clock. Brian Blades is a good blocker for a wide receiver. And let me be honest with you, Fred. Wide receivers are not notorious for being good blockers. But Brian Blades, he must have learned it there in Miami. He really put the hit in that situation on Simon Fletcher, somebody who outweighs him by over 60 pounds.
Second round pick out of Miami in 1988. Older brother Benny's the safety with the Lions. On 3rd and 11. The pass is deflected by Jake McCullough. 6'5", 270 pounds in his second year out of Clemson. Jake McCullough knocked it away.
And now with a minute 27 on the clock, Denver's got plenty of time to get down and get a score of their own. This really wasn't a good decision on Craig's part anyway, because right here you'll get a chance to see that Williams lets Mecklenburg go and he goes out in the flat. Even if they complete this pass, it's not going to be a first down because they're going to come up and tackle him for only a 6-yard gain. So Craig needed to get that ball downfield.
First time we've seen Rick Donnelly punt this afternoon for the Seahawks. Vance Johnson deep for Denver. Fair catch signal for at the 20-yard line, and that's where the Broncos will start 1st and 10. A minute 17 to play in the half. A 43-yard kick, and again, Todd, both teams still have all of their timeouts.
Well, of course, that's irrelevant for Seattle at this point, but of course with Denver, John Elway was one of those people that can definitely go the length of the field in only a minute 17.
All right, a check of games in progress from around the National Football League as we check the ticker. At the half, field goals at the Coliseum in Los Angeles, 3-3. 5-3 in San Francisco. I think Will Clark homered, as did Kevin Mitchell, to give him a 5-3 lead over Atlanta in the second quarter.
That's going to be their 36th, right?
36th.
What inning are they in? Second?
Second.
Oh, quarter, excuse me.
In Philadelphia, we're thinking the Rams. Here's Bobby Humphrey.
Fred, this is a terrific call, and the reason it is because of the fact that you just mentioned they have all of their timeouts.
13-yard gain for Humphrey. The Broncos are on the move.
Today's small cars are tougher than ever on oil. Their high-compression engines not only rev high, they can run hotter than regular small car engines. Their searing heat can begin to break down an oil immediately. That's why there's Castrol, the motor oil that in every grade provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol before your engine does something to get you heated up. Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
Todd, most of the time when you look at that 2-minute drill, you think immediately they're going to put the ball up in the air, but Denver kept it on the ground.
Well, because they had the luxury of 3 timeouts, they could call a drop play, which crosses up the defense, gives them a first down, and still they have 2 timeouts left. They're on their own 33-yard line, plenty of time.
Elway for Johnson. He's got it. He's out of bounds at midfield. First down.
That's a great throw by John Elway. Vance Johnson runs what's called a comeback route. He looks like he's going to go up the field deep, and then he comes back at around 20 to 25 yards. This is a great throw by John Elway.
17-yard pickup on the play, and he really had to fire the ball across the field.
Well, he had to get it over the linebacker, too. Here we'll get a chance to see it. They're thinking that Vance Johnson's going upfield. Right there. Right there. He's not out of his back pedal, and he gets him back. This is a great throw right there, right on the sidelines. No chance.
And Dwayne Harper, respecting his speed, bit and went back so he could turn it back up.
Well, remember, this is a man that won, I believe, at Arizona, ran a 6'160". He can run.
Mel Bratton inside for tough yardage. You see the clock continuing to run. That's time remaining in the first half.
They're in their no-huddle offense. There's no problem. 47 seconds in running. It's not a problem.
Elway steps up. Got him in. It's Johnson and a first down at the 35-yard line. Melvin Jenkins bulldogging, and now there's some extracurricular activity, and there's a marker on the play.
A lot of that has to be the frustration of Seattle's secondary. Once again, Rufus Porter was able to get a little bit of coverage, but Jenkins is just frustrated over the fact that Vance Johnson, Mark Jackson, these people are getting open. They're just not getting enough help with the pass rush.
Melvin Jenkins in his 4th year out of Cincinnati. Here's Red Cashin. It'll be a personal foul against the Seahawks, and that is really a mental mistake you don't want to make in this situation.
Well, and we also should mention the fact that Vance Johnson is somebody who's not altogether untalkative. This is somebody who will talk to you and try to berate you.
Unnecessary roughness. Number 24 on the defense. First down.
continue your point, Todd. That's a very valid point.
Well, you know, Vance Johnson, somebody who referred to as the Vance, is somebody who's very cocksure of himself. And he will talk to defensive backs and try to intimidate them. In that case, he wins the battle because he intimidated them into, as you said, a mental mistake.
So with 38 seconds to play, it's 1st and 10 from the 19-yard line. Elway has time, but did not hook up with the tight end Orson Mobley. 33 seconds to play.
Once again, Rufus Porter gets close, but not close enough. John Elway just has way too much time back there. The offensive line is doing an outstanding job.
And you talk about a critical series of downs for a ball club. Seattle needs to perform well right now, or Denver will have a big lead heading into the locker room.
It's amazing how the complexion of the game can change. Just a minute ago, we were talking about the fact that Seattle could score. Now it would be, in effect, a minor victory if they could hold them to a field goal.
From the 19, 2nd and 10, you see the clock. With time, got a man, Sewell. Down at the 1-yard line.
Call the timeout on the field. That's what Steve Sewell does best. He's coming out of the backfield, making the moves. He does a little out move and cuts across the field. And once again, John Elway able to buy time with his quick feet. John steps back and looks. He's looking right at Sewell in this situation. Look at that. He pumps the ball 4 times, which indicates that's an awful lot of time that he's getting there. Jefferson too late. Down to the 1-yard line now, threatening to go up by 2 touchdowns.
Steve Sewell, short-handed receiver out of Oklahoma. He got the start this year in the backfield because, to be quite honest with you, the coaches were a bit disappointed with Mel Bratton when he reported to camp.
Well, Mel Bratton was a little bit out of shape. They said that he was some 10 to 15 pounds overweight. But you know what's surprising is that you remember the Oklahoma teams in those days, they weren't exactly pass throwers. So, I mean, it's funny to me to think that a great pass catcher like Steve Sewell would come out of a wishbone offense.
Right. It's 1st and goal from the 1. 22 seconds to play. Play action.
Situation, and the reason is because with 22 seconds left, you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you have to throw the ball. Right here, he crosses them up on 1st down and goes right to the air, and there's nobody in the flat for Melvin Bratton. If they run the ball, they have to use their timeout, and they could be in trouble on 2nd and 3rd down.
That man we were speaking of, Bratton on the touchdown reception. Here's Treadwell for the extra point on a Kubiak's hold. Let's look at John Elway's reaction to the touchdown that gave Denver a 14-point lead.
Well, John Elway is having quite a day at this point. Right now, that makes him 13 for 16 for 153 yards and 3 touchdowns, and that's in the first half alone.
And let's remember the last time they played, when they led 38-0 at the half, Elway had 4 touchdown passes in the first half.
Does that mean he likes to play against these guys?
He loves to play against these guys. And you look across the field, Todd, at Seattle, a team that has done what it wanted to do, control the ball offensively, but they make a mistake on the Krieg turnover. Denver capitalizes. Williams fumbles, another capitalization.
2 crucial turnovers in this situation, or we might have a tie score. You're absolutely right. And as we mentioned at the outset, that was something that Seattle couldn't afford because they don't necessarily have the manpower to match up with Denver man for man. They need some breaks to go their way.
The numbers on John Elway. 13 of 16, 153 yards and 3 touchdowns. 18 seconds to play in the half. Lavelle and Warren deep. And this time Treadwell sends him back into the end zone. It's Warren. Ooh. Over the 20 before he's dropped. Kip Corrington, hard hitter on the special teams, making the play for the Broncos.
You know, if they wanted to preserve some time, he should have just downed it in the end zone. That ended up costing him about 5 seconds, which may be a moot point, it might not, but that's something that he should have been considering.
All right, you have 3 timeouts left. What are you going to do here? Just run it out and head to the locker room?
Well, with 13 seconds left, the only chance you have is a Hail Mary situation. I think that Seattle would be wise in this case, maybe to get a draw play, or maybe to run a comeback route, or possibly the hook and ladder. Because now you are down 2 touchdowns, and you do want to have a little bit of momentum, but obviously with Brian Blades in the backfield, it's indicative of the fact that they are just going to run it out.
Well, the Denver fans don't like the call very much, but they like the score.
Yeah, what do they care? They're up 2 touchdowns.
We've completed one half of football at Mile High Stadium. The Denver Broncos, taking advantage of Seattle turnovers, have opened up a 28-14 lead over the Seahawks.
Okay, and coming up here at halftime, we'll show you all the scores and some of the highlights. We'll hear from Will McDonough and O.J. Simpson, and we'll also have an interesting interview with NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue. That's after we come back following this commercial message.
We built this business
To give you vision, style,
built this business
to help entertain you.
We built this business to build your freedom.
ITT built these businesses into leaders. We built them by taking care of people.
We built this business. We built this business to build your We built this business.
He's Tom Flores, general manager of the Seattle Seahawks. In his 29 years in the NFL, he has won 4 Super Bowls. But throughout his career, he has never forgotten his roots.
Giving young people opportunities has always been important to me. That's why I've worked as a United Way volunteer throughout my NFL career, helping young people like these in Seattle's El Centro de la Raza program. I want to give courage, hope, and love to these young, beautiful people, to give them the same chances I had growing up. Here, they receive help so they can stay in school, and counseling so they can mature and make their contributions to a better community and a better world. When you give to the United Way, you're showing that you care about them. So now, they would like to thank you.
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Gracias, Tom.
Yes, gracias. The United Way. It brings out the best in all of us.
This message furnished by the National Football League.
Okay, we resume now at halftime, and as promised, here's Commissioner Paul Tagliabue in the studio with us. We left off at the end of the pregame show talking about instant replay, and one point is that obviously there are big differences from game to game in the amount of available equipment. Does that concern you?
It doesn't concern me, I guess, for 2 reasons. Number one, the 2 teams are playing with the same amount of equipment in the game. And number 2, with our 2-minute limit this year for reviewing the video, no one's going to get 8 or 9 or 10 camera angles anyway. So we're basically going to be looking at roughly the same number of camera angles in each game.
Now, what about in a very big game, very big late season game with that 2-minute rule in effect? And if after the 2 minutes have gone by, just for the purpose of enlightening the audience, the network covering the game comes up with what is now the definitive replay, and it clearly overrules the call that has just stood or should have, and you don't have the capability because of the 2-minute rule.
Well, the coaches said, you know, that we should strike a balance, and everyone felt we should strike a balance between having the game move along. As you know, the rule is that the replay has to be clear and indisputable. And if you can't make that judgment within 2 minutes, the consensus among the coaches and the teams was that we should go back to the field and play. Will?
Paul, let's jump to a couple of issues you're going to have to deal with, I think, here shortly. How about Eric Dickerson? When do you anticipate making a decision with what's going to happen to him?
I think probably sometime this week I'll get back to Eric and to the Colts with some indication of what I think they should do and whether there's anything I can do about it, frankly.
How about Clarence Kay? I think you've got some kind of an idea of what you might do with his situation.
Well, Clarence, you know, was arrested for speeding, and I think I've seen enough now to convince me that Clarence should be permitted to play for the Broncos, and I have informed the Broncos of that recently.
There's some feeling in the league. You got an important meeting coming up Tuesday where the owners are going to come in to vote on a practice squad. Some of the owners think that this might be the first step towards a new collective bargaining agreement with the players. How do you feel?
Well, I don't see it quite so globally. I think it's important for 2 reasons. Number one, it's responsive to what the coaches and the football people want. They wanted these practice players, and I think management has an obligation to be responsive when it could affect the product. Number two, I think it is significant that for the first time, representatives of the teams and the players have gotten together, they've listened to each other carefully, they've gotten off their positions and moved toward a middle ground and reached an agreement. That, I think, is significant.
Finishing up where we started, is it fair to say that replay coming into this season was again hanging by a thread? It seemed a couple of years ago it was sustained almost as a personal tip of the hat to Pete Rozelle. Then you had to step in and lobby again this time. Is it always on the brink?
Well, I think in this league there will always be some people who will oppose instant replay, but this year with the changes we made, maybe we'll have a stronger consensus at the end of the year. It's going to be interesting to see.
I wish we had more time, but we thank Commissioner Paul Tagliabue for stopping by. Will McDonough, O.J. Simpson, and I will be back as halftime continues in a moment. Okay, we'll go back to Mile High Stadium in Denver for the second half in just a moment, but first let's get you caught up, beginning with the finals from the games played earlier today at Giants Stadium. Dan Marino and the Dolphins came in at 2-0. Giants had the same record. It was the Giants who prevailed. Otis Anderson with a pair of one-yard touchdown runs. They stopped Marino and the running game dead in their tracks. Giants take it to 3-0, win 20-3. Don Majkowski made his first start this year in Week 3 for the Packers, but he was rusty. The Chiefs shut him down, and Christian Okoye's 5-yard scoring run was part of a 17-3 Kansas City victory at Lambeau. They're 2-1 and could have been 3-0 since they barely missed a victory on Monday night in Denver. The Bears are now 18-1 in September for Mike Ditka since 1985. The Vikings were dead after this 52-yard field goal, and the Butler did it. Kevin Butler, who earlier had hit from 51, the game winner 52 yards out, and the Bears take their record to 3-0 with the win at Soldier Field. With a pair of come-from-behind wins, Boomer Esiason and the Bengals were 2-0 entering Week 3. Today, they didn't waste any time getting on top of the Patriots. This made it 10-0, 42-yarder to Eddie Brown. They go on to win 41-7. Meanwhile, on the other side of Ohio, in Cleveland, Bobby Beathard there in the middle looking for his first victory as the front office maven of the San Diego Chargers. This helped. One of 3 interceptions against Bernie Kosar. They rushed the throw, and the wobbly pass is picked off by Henry Rolling, who nearly brings it back for a touchdown. The Chargers did score a few plays later. Billy Joe Tolliver threw 2 touchdown passes to Anthony Miller, and the big upset. The Chargers win their first of the year, 24-14. The disappointing Browns just 1-2. Here's Mark Rippon of the Redskins out with a sprained knee. Stan Humphreys plays in the second half at RFK for the Redskins. Doesn't generate much offense, but the defense helps. Troy Aikman intercepted as he throws out of the end zone. It's picked off by Darrell Green. Fancy stepping back through the Cowboys. 18 yards later, he's in the end zone. Chip Lohmiller with 4 field goals. The Redskins are 2-1. Cowboys 1-2. 19-15 the final at RFK. Ron Meyer of the Colts, Jack Pardee of the Oilers, each looking for his first victory, and it's Warren Moon and the Oilers who get it. 3 touchdown passes from Moon, 2 of them to this man, Lorenzo White. This came in the first half, and the Oilers prevail 24-10. One other final, it came from the Superdome in New Orleans. The Saints win for the first time this year. Big day for Reuben Mays, 3 rushing touchdowns, 28-7 over Phoenix. The big TD, in a certain sense, though, came in the second quarter. John Fourcade, 14 yards to Eric Martin. It gave New Orleans a 7-0 lead. You may have read about this earlier in the week. Some New Orleans fans took a vow of celibacy until the Saints scored their first touchdown of the year. It came in the second quarter of Week 3. Thank goodness. Just consider the implications if they hadn't finally gotten it into the end zone. All right, here are games in progress. The Raiders on a pair of field goals with the lead in the third quarter at the Coliseum, trying to take their record to 3-0 against the 1-1 Steelers, 6-3 in favor of Los Angeles. San Francisco with a safety and a 47-yard field goal by Mike Kofer in front of the second quarter at Candlestick. They're 2-0 coming in against the 1-1 Falcons, 5-3. In the game you're watching, Denver with John Elway hurling 3 first-half touchdown passes, leading Seattle 28-14. And Philadelphia is playing at Anaheim against the Rams. They've just gone to halftime. Randall Cunningham has a pair of touchdown passes, one to Mike Quick, another to Calvin Williams. Each covered 15 yards. Jim Everett threw a 50-yarder to Henry Ellard. The Rams trail at home against the winless Eagles, 17-14. Over to the Juice.
Well, Bobby, I've been watching this Broncos-Seahawks game, and of course the Broncos are always tough at home. But, even though they're down by 14 points, I got to give a lot of credit to this Seahawks team. Chuck Knox has them playing competitive football. They've been outmanned, obviously, thus far this season. I don't think anyone gave them much credit to contend this year, not seriously anyway, because they just don't have the personnel. But they're playing hard, competitive football. They're really giving him maximum effort.
Just the performance I like is with John Elway. They had an emotional loss against the Raiders the first game, an emotional win on Monday night. They're ripe for a defeat at the hands, an upset at the hands of Seattle. He comes out and has a great first half today.
And we'll send you back there for the second half right after these messages from your local station.
Todd Christensen getting ready for the second half. You saw the score, and Todd, your impressions of the first half.
Well, I think that we'd have a tie score if not for those two crucial turnovers by the Seahawks. The first one, of course, they turned right into a touchdown. And at the end of the half, when they had a chance to go up, they fumbled the ball. Here we get a chance to see the statistics, and you'll see nothing terribly overwhelming. The total yards are almost even, but really the key statistic right there is the turnovers. Those two big turnovers have really contributed to the 2-touchdown lead that the Broncos have right now.
Seahawks doing what they want to do in time of possession, and if they had not turned the ball over twice, it'd have been a tie game. Norton Johnson kicks off the second half. Drives Alton Montgomery deep into the end zone, and he'll be forced to down it, so the Broncos will start 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. If you're Chuck Knox, what do you tell your team at halftime, Todd?
Well, you got to tell your team that you're doing the things that you want to do, but unfortunately we're making mistakes. They got to get rid of those physical and mental mistakes, but also now we're going to have to adjust a little bit because we can't just consume the time with running. We're going to have to take some chances against this inexperienced secondary.
1st and 10, Broncos from their 20. John Elway at quarterback. Melvin Bratton and Bobby Humphrey in the backfield. Humphrey with the ball. Joe Nash met him at the line of scrimmage.
It may not be crucial for them to stop Denver to go 3 downs and punt, but one thing they absolutely cannot afford right now is to let Denver drive, eat up 5 or 6 minutes, and then maybe kick a field goal. The defense for Seattle has to assert itself right here.
On the other side, you mentioned at the outset of the telecast,
we get a chance here to look at Tom Catlin, who knows that as well. They might be taking a few chances here, possibly with a safety blitz, try to disrupt Elway's rhythm, because right now 13 for 16, obviously his rhythm is right there.
2nd and 7. Elway gets it off to Jackson. He's got a first down.
And Elway took a shot from the back. Tony Woods came in there and caught him in the back. Pardon me, that's not Elway. Elway's all right.
But he did take a shot.
Jim Juriga is the one that was grabbing at his leg. Here we get a chance to see it, play action fake, and right at the last he's going to get hit by Woods, and he's able to get it off. Nice catch by Jackson, and a good throw by Elway hanging in there.
Todd, I was saying at the outset of the telecast, you talked about how important it was that John Elway be on his rhythm today.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, if you're 14 for 17, you got 3 touchdown passes in the first half. Obviously, things are going your way.
From the 33, 1st and 10. Humphrey. He's over the 35-yard line. Jeff Bryant on the stop for the Seahawks.
What has happened here, Fred, is the fact that as Elway continues to be successful, the running game is going to help itself. You know, people are always talking about, well, we got to do the run to set up the pass. In this case, it's going the other way around. The defensive line, who have their ears pinned back trying to get a pass rush now, are being softened up by the run. And if this continues, they're going to be able to run effectively at the end of the 3rd quarter and the beginning of the 4th.
We are just underway in the 3rd quarter. 13 minutes and 15 seconds to play. Bratton able to elude 1 tackler, but not Rufus Porter. You know, Mel Bratton's an interesting story. A couple of years ago, he was a backup singer for the group 2 Live Crew during the offseason.
Is that right?
He absolutely was.
Well, that's interesting, because here in Denver, not once have I ever seen him recorded talking about the First Amendment. Of course, I could be wrong. I haven't been in Denver a long time. Is he going to write a column or something here for the Denver Post?
No, he's not.
First Amendment rights?
No, and he also told me he sang with the group prior to their controversial songs.
Well, I haven't heard him, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, hey, babe, keep your day job.
3rd and 6. Sewell with a juggling act, and now it will depend on the spot of the ball.
Just as we predicted, we had a safety blitz in that situation. Coming up the middle, I believe, was Jefferson. I'm sorry.
Nesby Glasgow.
It was Glasgow that comes up the middle and forces it, and as a result, because he's doing that, there's Sewell all alone in the flat. Now, he bobbles it right here, and it's the official right there says that right there, that toe is out of bounds. And from our vantage point, it looked like the toe was out of bounds before the first down marker, but we'll have to see.
They'll bring the chains across. There he was. It was out of bounds before the yard line.
Well, mystical things happen in this stadium, Fred. It's amazing how the bounces and the measurements and the interceptions and everything seems to go Denver's way.
And that one did.
Oh, what a surprise. I'm sorry, I know that sounds bitter, but having played here, you know, in 11 seasons, it seemed to me that some of the weirdest things happened in Mile High Stadium.
All right, what was one of the weirdest things that happened?
Well, as an example, one time Marcus Allen is running, and it's one of those where he stopped. He's standing straight up, he stopped. Everybody knows the play is over, and somebody grabs the ball away from him, runs into the run for a touchdown. Everybody standing there saying to themselves, oh, the plays are okay, great. All of a sudden, no official blew his whistle, and they go, I guess it's a touchdown. Only in Denver.
Terry Wooden on the hit. The ball carrier, Bobby Humphrey. And now let's check the Hertz 10-minute ticker. Let's rev up the Hertz 10-minute ticker. There it is. Final scores, Giants, a big winner over Miami. We'll put the engine on idle right now and get back to the Hertz 10-minute ticker.
Oh, nuts. I was really on my edge of the seat for that, waiting to hear what you had to say.
Elway rolling, dumps it off. Not only didn't Humphrey catch the ball, but he took a ride from Dwayne Harper.
Well, Elway did a good job there of really just throwing the ball away. He was pressured, he was out of the pocket. He just didn't want to take a sack. He wanted to get rid of the ball.
Now the moment you have been waiting for, the continuation of
the Hertz
10-minute ticker.
All right.
Our engine seems to be stalling a little bit here. There we go. Again, the Giants beating Miami today. Chicago nips Minnesota. No problem. Cincinnati over New England. Washington over Dallas. San Diego beat Cleveland.
Good day for the AFC West teams.
Houston a winner, and New Orleans over Phoenix. 3rd and 7. A lot of time. Yes, complete to Jackson, threading the needle and a first down.
Well, Patrick Hunter took a chance there going for the interception when he dove, and he didn't get it. It was an open season for Mark Jackson. Great catch there for the first down, and once again, Elway threads the needle. Here it is. He's got good time to throw. He pats the ball. I love that, patting the ball, just like Unitas used to do. There he goes for the interception, doesn't get it. Jackson with another big catch.
So Denver moving 1st and 10 from the 44. 11 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. Broncos leading 28-14. Humphrey dropped at the 40-yard line. Patrick Hunter on the stop for the Seahawks.
You know, on the surface, it looks like oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The moment we've been waiting for.
Well, the Raiders are up by a field goal. San Francisco still leads in the 7th inning over Atlanta 5-3. And Philadelphia at halftime is up by a field goal over the Rams.
You know, you talk about Patrick Hunter a moment ago who made that hit. Last season, he had a career-high 53 tackles. He's a sticker, 5'11", 186 in his 5th year out of Nevada, Reno. Here, Elway faces a 2nd and 6 from the 40-yard line. 10th play of the drive. Play action. He has time. He's got a man, Clarence Kay. But there are penalty markers on the field.
You know, it appeared that they had some linemen downfield. That play action fake was such that they fooled them, and even the linemen were downfield. I think it was Doug Waddell who was downfield. Oh, they're going to call him for a trip. It's interesting. Great play action fake. Gave him plenty of time to see the field.
Tripping, number 67 on the offense. Still 2nd down.
It was Waddell.
Would I steer you wrong, babe?
Not only was he downfield, but he tripped somebody at the same time.
Well, there was 2 flags. The one on the other side, really, I think he was going to call it. But then, again, the guy in the back, you know, they gave him authority because I think he's been in the league a little bit longer. So that's the penalty they opted for.
Yeah.
Hey, man, did I have to tell it to you again? I played this game, all right?
Did you play? Yeah. Okay. So it's the old seniority referee rule.
I think so.
Another little-known rule.
Stick with me, babe. You'll learn a lot.
I'm going with it. 2nd and 16 from midfield. They're going to reset the ball.
Is that what that's called? Resetting the ball?
I don't know. You played.
Good point. Gee, I hate it when you get in the last word.
It's few and far between, but very fulfilling.
I don't know what this caucus is about, if for no other reason than what could they be replaying. This doesn't seem to make any sense. I guess Red will tell us. Oh, I see it. It has to do with the clock. Oh, second down. Gosh. All right.
9:40 to play. Clock running. We're in the third quarter. Elway and the Broncos facing a 2nd and 16 from midfield.
What the fans might not know, Fred, is the clock is supposed to run now after a penalty. And so that's in effect what they're doing, is trying to get the clock going.
Humphrey. Close to the 40-yard line before Tony Woods makes the play.
As we mentioned earlier in the drive, Fred, the situation here is that with Elway's success passing the ball, the defensive linemen have to pin their ears back and be in a mode to pass rush. Here, as a result, they're able to get the soft underbelly of that, and Humphreys continues to get good gains.
6'1", 201 in his second year out of Alabama.
You know, last year, Fred, Bobby Humphreys gained 1,151 yards, which is the first time they had a 1,000-yard rusher since 1974 when Otis Armstrong did the trick.
Elway gets it off. Sewell makes the play, and he's knocked out of bounds by Robert Blackman.
That's a big play by Blackman. He didn't have him man for man. They had a blitz, and he had to come over, and he knocked him out before he could get to the first down. It'll be interesting to see if they're going to take some chances here, because obviously Elway is hot. It looks like they're going to. 4th and 3. I would question this if for only one reason, and that is that the Denver defense is not playing particularly well at this point. But if indeed they do get the first down, they have the possibility of breaking the back of the Seahawks.
Michael Young checks into the ball game to the near side of the field. Broncos with 3 wide receivers, and it's a quick kick. Elway gets it away, and it's into the end zone. 37 yards on the kick, and the Seahawks will take over 1st and 10 when we return to Mile High Stadium. From their 20-yard line, 8:16 to play in the third quarter. Dave Krieg. His intended receiver was Tommy Cade. Let's look back at that quick kick for a moment.
You know, this shows the athletic skill that John Elway has. He has done this in the past. And this is actually a pretty good weapon, because you got a situation where you don't have anybody back. And if he can make the ball sit down, which in this case he didn't, he actually got too good a kick. He got a spiral, and that rolled into the end zone. If they can down it inside the 5. Hey, you know, Elway was a baseball player, you know. He's got a lot of talent. In fact, he told me so.
2nd and 10. Has time. Over the middle, he's got the tight end, McNeil. McNeil picks up a block, and McNeil is down at the 44-yard line. Randy Robbins made the hit, but McNeil picked up a good block.
Fred, once again, he takes advantage of Simon Fletcher in the secondary. I don't know what the defense is thinking, having Simon Fletcher man for man with a tight end. Krieg gets good protection in this situation and gives a chance for McNeil, not exactly a speed burner, to get to the middle of the field. Great protection. There it is. You see trailing right there, 73. That's Simon Fletcher. I don't know why they're trying to have him cover the tight end, because it's obviously it's not working.
23-yard pickup there, and here is Derrick Fenner to the 40-yard line and a Seattle first down. Wyman Henderson had to haul him down.
Well, with a little bit more than 22 minutes left in the game, Derrick Fenner is definitely not out of the game in terms of the Seahawks running the ball. You would think that at this point that Seattle would just be forced to throw 2 touchdowns down, but they're not. Here he cuts inside, follows his blockers well, and right there he almost goes the distance. Mecklenburg dives down and gets him, along with number 24, Wyman Henderson.
I should say he would not be out of the ballgame. After all, he was their most effective weapon in the first half.
But when I say out of the ballgame, I don't mean on the sidelines. I mean the fact that they can't afford the luxury of long time-consuming drives.
On 1st and 10, Krieg, yes, completion to Brian Blades. He's down at the 29-yard line.
Brian Blades is somebody who last year had over 1,000 yards and 77 catches, and I'm surprised that this didn't happen earlier in the game. Here you've got a situation where you've got Elliott Smith, who's a young guy who's afraid, hasn't played. Look at how far back he is. He's nearly 20 yards away. Brian Blades has at least an 8-yard cushion, and that's something that I'm surprised Krieg didn't exploit earlier in the game.
Brian Blades, a Pro Bowl performer last season. Now Seattle 1st and 10 from the 24. John L. Williams. Randy Robbins moving up to make the hit.
Once again, John L. Williams being a little bit tentative, trying to decide where he wants to go. If the hole isn't there, just cut up field and get your 4 yards.
Well, now here are the Seahawks again doing what they want to do, controlling the ball.
Well, with the exception, as I recall, Rick Donnelly has one punt for 43 yards,
Right.
so it's not as if the Denver Broncos have really stopped the Seattle Seahawks.
Second and 7. For Williams. Robbins heading defensively.
Ron Heller was open in the middle of the field. He had Munford on him man for man, but Krieg opted to look to the left. He needs to take the chance to look downfield.
All right, let's check now the Hertz 10-minute ticker. And in the third quarter, the Raiders still leading Pittsburgh 6-3. It's still 5-3. San Francisco over Atlanta, and Philadelphia clinging to that 3-point lead over the Rams.
I think the H is indicative of the 7th inning stretch is what that means.
I think you're right. On 3rd and 7 from the 21, 4 wide receivers in the game for the Seahawks. Incomplete to Brian Blades. Simon Fletcher had him defensively, and there was a great deal of pressure on Krieg.
Well, Brian Blades ran a delay route. Here you get a chance to see that he's going to run a delay. He's just going to cut up and wait. But see, Fletcher sees that, and he comes out, and that's his specific zone. And so it's not like Simon Fletcher was covering Blades. That's just where he needed to be, and as a result, he was in the right place at the right time.
Norm Johnson in to attempt the field goal. 39 yards, and here's your kicking team. Fiesel the center, Temp the holder, Johnson the kicker, 0 for 1 from this distance this year. This time he is right on the money. So the Seahawks able to put the points on the board.
An eclipse was always a rare phenomenon.
Minutes and 40 seconds to play in the third quarter, and Seattle has cut the lead to 28-17. Montgomery and Winder are deep for the Broncos, and Norm Johnson kicks it away. Montgomery will have a shot from the goal line. Alton Montgomery, they're looking. Marker on the play as Montgomery carries it over to the 30. Nesby Glasgow on the hit.
And when the referee calls it himself, he doesn't have to wait for anybody. Red Cashin saw it, and he's waving everybody back saying, hey, don't worry about it. It's definitely holding. Once again, this could be a good omen for the Seattle Seahawks. You know.
Illegal block. Number 57 of the receivers doing the return. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Ty Allard, the man flagged.
Fred, what I was going to say about that is now they start at the 7-yard line. You know, Seattle drives length of field, gets a score, and even though it wasn't a touchdown, it gives them a lot of satisfaction.
We'll be back to Mile High Stadium. As a matter of fact, we won't leave Mile High Stadium.
That was magic. How did you do that so fast?
The magic of television.
It was a subliminal commercial is what it was.
Just something for you to quickly consider and then come back to us. And consider this, 1st and 10 for the Broncos from the 7. Elway out to Jackson. And Jackson battles forward for some yards.
You know what? I've been very impressed with the play calling of Denver. You know, right there's a situation where everybody's expecting him to just plunge into the line, not take any chances. But he goes with a conservative pass, give Jackson the chance to run upfield. And even though they only gained 5 yards, they give Seattle a message, and that is we're not afraid to throw down here in our own territory.
You see Dan Reeves there in a moment. We'll talk about the biggest event of Dan Reeves' week. He had some very difficult decisions to make this week. 2nd and 4 here from the 13-yard line. Humphrey banging his way forward to the 20. Back to Dan Reeves for a moment, Todd. Dan Reeves had the situation where 2 of his daughters had birthdays this week. One, Laura, and the other, Dana. What do you get the 2 girls?
I thought it was funny, his reaction. He says, well, you know, the one girl's 25. I gave her cash.
That's what she needed, cash. We said, what'd you give the younger one who was 20? We let Mom handle that one. John Elway handling a 1st and 10. Clock running, 4:15 to play in the third quarter. They shift behind him. Humphrey. They're in Como on the hit. There was some question today as to whether or not Darren Como, 53 in white, would play. He bruised the back of his calf, but he was ready to go, and Chuck Knox said if he can walk, he's going to play. It's just that simple.
Bobby Humphrey now has 78 yards on 17 carries. He's doing an outstanding job at taking some time off the clock for the Broncos.
3:40 to play in the quarter. Denver leading 28-17, facing a 2nd and 8. Timing pattern to Jackson, incomplete.
Once again, Nesby Glasgow is in on the blitz. Steve Sewell picks him up, but still the pressure is there on Elway, and he had to throw that ball before the receiver turned around, and as a result, it was incomplete. We talked about the fact that the defense needs to take some chances. Here you see coming up, bang! He knocks him right into Elway, and as a result, he's not able to get his feet set, and he throws the ball awry.
Awry?
Awry. I knew you'd like that.
3rd down and 8. The Seahawks defense can hold here. They'll have another chance to score before the end of the quarter.
It'll be interesting to see if they play it conservatively or if once again they come with a safety. They're not.
Elway. Down he goes. Now he lost the ball. Are they going to rule him down or a fumble? That's the question.
Joe Nash picked it up. Joe Nash has it. I don't know if anybody touched it. They're going to give it to Seattle.
Red Cashin has not made a call yet.
Seattle ball.
Jeff Bryant forcing the action.
Let's see what Red Cashin has to say.
Play is ruled as a fumble, but he was touched while on the ground. 1st down.
But either way, it's a huge play for Seattle in this situation. 3rd down. We were talking about just the fact to force him to punt, but now a big turnover for Seattle, and Tom Catlin. Why does he have that grim look on his face? I'd be happy if I was him. Here you see to the left side of the field, Elway sees it's completely clear, and he's going to take off and go, but right there he gets stripped of the ball, and Joe Nash is right in front of it to take it away from him. It's interesting because they both had their arms on it, but Nash was stronger than Elway.
Seattle 1st and 10 from the 16. Golden opportunity for the Seahawks. Fenner and Williams line up behind Krieg. That's Ron Heller in motion. Fenner up the middle. Near the 5-yard line. Before Wyman, Henderson, and Elliott Smith combined to drop him.
You know, I've been trying to figure out who I can compare Derrick Fenner to, but if you watch the high knee action, it reminds me a little bit of Roger Craig. Right here, he makes the cut. Now, when he sees the opening, watch the knees come up. Bang, bang, bang. And if you're 180 pounds in the secondary and you see this man coming with 4.4 speed and 230 pounds and those knees coming, that is a frightening look.
They're going to measure it to see if he picked up the 1st down.
Needless to say, this is Derrick Fenner's first 100-yard game in his career, and this is one he's going to definitely remember.
Well, he called it yesterday when he told us, I want that ball 20 or 25 times tomorrow.
Well, and he also mentioned the fact that, like all the great backs, he feels like he gets better as the game goes on, and certainly that's indicated by the way he's running this quarter.
You know, something you pointed out yesterday as well, Todd, that low center of gravity for most running backs, he is able to succeed, although he's as tall as he is.
Well, again, he's also got great speed. You know, he's not 6'3", 230, a guy that runs, you know, the 40 in a day. You know, Derrick runs the 4.4 just like his number. This man can scoop.
2:45 to play in the 3rd quarter. The clock is running. The Seahawks are 2nd and less than a yard from the 6-yard line. They trail 28-17. Fenner. 1st down. And stopped. I think they'll mark it at the 2.
Once again, the defensive line is being put to the test. I think that they were hurt early by the fact that Ron Holmes held out all of training camp trying to renegotiate, and he comes in, he's a little bit overweight. Injuries to people like Andre Townsend. They have to play rookies like Jim Szymanski, who has been a real bright spot, but nonetheless a 10th round pick, and with no NFL experience, Seattle's certainly taken advantage of this in this drive.
1st and goal. They mark it at the 2. Krieg. Touchdown! It was tipped by Fenner into the hands of Heller.
Just to tell you, 10 or 15 years ago, that would not have counted.
That's right.
Isn't that interesting? It goes through Derrick Fenner's hands, and Ron Heller, the pride of Clarks Fork, Idaho, population 449, makes a big touchdown catch. Right here, he's got him all alone, but he can't quite get it up high enough there. and Heller is able to get the deflection. Lucky play for the Seahawks, and those are the sorts of things that only happen to the Broncos here in Mile High.
That's right, and if he doesn't deflect that ball, Simon Fletcher's there to bat it away.
And you know what I thought was funny is the way Dave Krieg came off the field like, oh yeah, well, we planned that.
Just the way we drew it on the board. So, the Seahawks taking advantage of a Denver turnover. It's a new ball game, 28-24.
It's more than just a game.
17!
And if you play your cards right,
20!
you could win it all.
25! 25? I won! With that lineup? Yeah! Yeah!
Play Diet Coke Super Bowl lineup, and you could win up to $25,000. Game pieces and caps only on packages with Super Bowl lineup emblems.
Tough luck, Boomer.
Collect and win or win instantly.
Hey, a Super Bowl trip!
With 100% NutraSweet.
Millions of years ago, nature created a vehicle that accelerates, steers, and stops with all fours. That ingenious concept has now been engineered into a car. Introducing the Mitsubishi 3000 GT. With all-wheel drive, all-wheel steering, all-wheel anti-lock brakes, and 300 horsepower instead of just one. Mitsubishi, the word is getting around.
If your feathers have been ruffled by downdrafts in the market, get on board something big, safe, and secure. Get Met. It pays.
Do you use a dandruff shampoo? Tests show Selsun Blue relieves dandruff flaking better than Head & Shoulders. Blue is better, and for a limited time, Blue is free. Buy 1 7-ounce bottle of any formula Selsun Blue, get one free. See for yourself. Blue is better.
Taking a page out of Denver's book, if you recall at the end of the first half, Denver on 1st and goal went to the air, and right away they take advantage of the play-action fake. But here Fenner jumps and can't quite get it. Now Simon Fletcher tips it, and Ron Heller gets it. Now that's a little piece of serendipity that Seattle definitely needed after the 2 turnovers that they had in the first half.
Well, certainly it was the Seahawks' turn to capitalize, and here's the scoring drive. 3 plays, 16 yards, just 1 minute and 27 seconds, but that's all it took. Craig to Heller on the payoff, 2 yards, and it's 28-24, the Broncos leading. Johnson kicking to Alton Montgomery and Sammy Winder. Winder loses it in the end zone and then wisely decides to down it in the end zone.
Fred, that's indicative of the fact that the injuries have really plagued the Denver Broncos. I don't know what Sammy Winder is doing back there returning kicks. He's a veteran running back who's been around a long time, and he shouldn't be back there, but they have to do it.
John Elway trots out onto the field. When we come back to Mile High Stadium, the Broncos will have the ball.
Eclipses once appeared only in the heavens.
That's the story. Interestingly, Seattle wants to control the ball. In the third quarter, the Seahawks only had the ball 4 minutes and 3 seconds, yet they've scored 10 points. Denver has had it a longer period of time in the third quarter. 9 minutes. And on 1st and 10, was he stuck? Bobby Humphrey, the ball carrier, and Jacob Green making him pay.
Well, Jacob Green is a sage veteran. Today, he's got a chance. He's at 99.5 sacks. He wants a career 100, and right there, he shucks aside the blocker and puts the big hit on Bobby Humphrey.
6'2", 256, his 11th year out of Texas A&M, 33 years young. Jacob Green, 2-time Pro Bowl selection. Clock running, 1 minute 5 to play in the quarter. Broncos 2nd and 10 from the 20. Bratton, tough yardage, stopped shy of the 25. James Jefferson on the hit.
You know, I've been the one that's been jumping on the bandwagon to say this has been great play calling by the Broncos, but that one I don't understand, because now you put yourself in a situation now where you've only got one chance to get that 3rd down play, come up 3rd and 6. Now he's forced to throw. The Seahawks know it. They might come with a blitz here.
So what would you have called in this situation?
Well, I think the quick pass that they had to Mark Jackson, they're on the 8-yard line. They've yet to stop that. So take some chances, do that. You come up 3rd and 1 instead of coming up 3rd and 6.
25 seconds to play in the quarter. 4 wide receivers in the game for the Broncos. With time, got a man, it's Mark Jackson. You called it, Todd. 1st down.
Well, what ended up happening in that situation is that once again, John Elway just had too much time. Maybe in that situation, Seattle should have taken a chance and blitz, but they didn't. Look right there. You see Rufus Porter's in pass coverage. What's he doing down there? He's got to rush the passer. That gives him plenty of time. Jackson runs an excellent route. First down, Broncos.
John Elway told you yesterday he is looking more and more for Mark Jackson, who has 6 receptions so far today.
No, Mark Jackson is somebody who's trying to take the load off of Vance Johnson. He's certainly done it today.
Well, that'll end the third quarter of play. Seattle scores 10 points in the quarter to get back into the game. We've completed 3. Denver leading the Seahawks 28-24.
Saturday Night Live, where the biggest stars in show business work for scale. The new season premieres Saturday with Kyle MacLachlan and Sinead O'Connor.
Now you don't have to run away from home to be in great shape. No more freezing rain, barking dogs, or cars to...
A little bit assuming that down 2 touchdowns, Seattle would fold up and go home, but they've done anything but that.
1st and 10 from the 38. Quick out to Vance Johnson. Johnson makes one move and is out of bounds. Turned Patrick Hunter around and picked up extra yardage.
Well, that was the play that I had alluded to earlier on the 2nd down. That was the play that they have really yet to stop. And right now, there's nothing like what an offense wants to do is come up 2nd and 1 or 2nd and 2. That broadens your horizons. You can take some chances. And right here, if Elway cared to, he could go deep because he knows he can come back on 3rd and 1 and get the first down.
So they pick up 9 on the play, and it sets up a 2nd and 1 situation from the 38-yard line. Check that, the 48-yard line. Humphrey into Seattle territory for a first down. All right, let's check third quarter stats.
Well, as we look here, the yards rushing by the Seahawks you would think would be significant, but then again, the Broncos have almost run for 100 as well. Really, the key statistic here is that one big turnover by the Broncos. You know, the Seahawks went the length of the field, kicked the field goal, and right away, Elway turns the ball over. That creates the touchdown for the Seahawks, and that's the reason the game is close right now.
Now, Bobby Humphrey is checked out of the lineup. He's being tended to on the sideline, and Sammy Winder is into the backfield for the Broncos. Elway rolls right, dumps it out, and Orson Mobley couldn't hold on. Mobley has had trouble all season long holding onto the ball.
Well, there's no excuse for that. I would love to try and make one since I played the position. But the truth is Orson Mobley is wide open. But if you're not integrally involved in the passing game, a lot of times you can get numb. Here it's misdirection. He fakes. This is the counter boot. He goes the other direction. Right in your picture, you can see Orson Mobley wide open. There's no excuse for dropping that football.
Last week he caught a ball against Kansas City and then fumbled it. He has struggled this season. And you see him on the sideline now. On 2nd and 10. Ooh! Sammy Winder. Hello to Jacob Green.
Well, once again, you can see here that the Seattle Seahawks are taking some chances. Jefferson, the safety, lines up outside of Rufus Porter, and he's coming on a blitz. And with the pulling tackle right there, there's nobody to block Jacob Green. And quite frankly, Sammy Winder is not quite as quick as Bobby Humphrey. He didn't get off the mark. Green makes the big play.
Jacob Green, defensive captain for the Seahawks, has led the club in sacks 7 of the last 10 seasons. 4 wide receivers in for the Broncos on 3rd and 13 from midfield. The pass is deflected at the line, and a flag goes down.
When the referee makes that call, you know it's holding. They're going to refuse it. It's a big play there. Big play there for the Seahawks. Batting the pass down. They're going to get the ball back in a good situation. There you call it right there, playing referee.
Holding number 76 on the offense. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
Todd, it looked like Jeff Bryant, 77, batted that ball away.
Well, you know, Jeff Bryant, in a lot of cases, has been the odd man out because they obviously want to get Cortez Kennedy in the lineup. They spent a lot of money for this guy. But Bryant shows right there that he can still play the game.
Mike Perrin, who has been struggling, gets off a good kick to James Jefferson, who calls a fair catch, and the ball rolls into the end zone. 50-yard kick by Mike Perrin. So the Seahawks will have the ball 1st and 10 from their own 20. High Stadium, and nobody is leaving. The story, 12:55 in regulation. The Seahawks trailing the Broncos by 4.
And the volume and the pounding is coming up because the crowd really does need to get back in the game here.
On 1st and 10, play action for Krieg. then swings it out for Fenner. And Simon Fletcher was there to drop him. All right, we're set for an update. Let's go to Bob Costas at NFL Live.
All right, Fred, here's the scene at the Coliseum in L.A. 3rd and goal from the 1. Marcus Allen bangs over for the Raiders, his first TD of the year. Los Angeles in pursuit of a 3-0 record to begin the season, leading early in the 4th over the Steelers, 13-3. Back to Mile High.
Our story here, Bob, 12:22 to play. Denver leading Seattle by 4. You would swear there was an earthquake at this place. The stadium is rocking. People are pounding their feet. On 2nd and 11. Krieg has time. John L. Williams out of bounds at the 25-yard line. Wyman Henderson put his shoulder into him. 4th reception of the day for John L. Williams.
This is really giving the crowd a chance to get back in the game. This is a pivotal 3rd down play. And quite frankly, I am very surprised that they went with a play action on 1st down. They've been running so effectively with Derrick Fenner. Why change that? Give the guy a chance. I mean, there's 12 minutes left in the ballgame. Let's establish a little running, take some time off the clock, and go with what's been working for you. You've got a 100-yard rusher. Why not use him?
Seahawks, 4 wide receivers in the ball game. Over the middle, complete to Blades, and a 1st down Seattle. Robbins and Corrington combining on the stop.
Once again, there's a little insecurity, a little unsureness in the secondary for the Denver Broncos. You're going to get a chance to see here that they go to kind of a zone situation. Brooks blitzes in the middle of the field, but look right there. Where is anybody? He's all alone right there. There's nobody covering him. Big 1st down for the Seahawks, and once again, Corrington playing back a little bit too far. He needed to take a chance on that.
And here we talk about what you commented on earlier, taking advantage of that inexperienced Denver defensive backfield. 1st and 10 from the 38. Fenner takes the pitch. All right, fumble! Denver has it.
What a catch! What a catch! What a catch was made by Corrington. The ball comes up in the air. He actually dove and caught it in midair. Otherwise, the ball would have gone out of bounds. I can't believe this stadium. Unbelievable the things that happen in Mile High.
A critical turnover by the Seahawks. Denver has the ball with 10 minutes and 46 seconds to play.
Wouldn't it be great if suddenly you were
critical of Kip Corrington and his inexperience now replacing Steve Atwater, but give him his due. He makes 2 great plays. First, he comes up and he strips the ball. Now, if he doesn't make this great diving catch right there, the ball goes out of bounds and Seattle retains possession. 2 great plays on 1 play by Kip Corrington.
And replay did check that to make sure he made the play inbounds, and he did. This has been the story. 2 turnovers. Denver has turned them both into touchdowns. What will happen here? Bobby Humphrey going up the middle on that play and not picking up much yardage. Tony Woods and Cortez Kennedy on the hit. And there is Kip Corrington, 5'11", 180 pounds in his 2nd year, an Aggie out of Texas A&M, acquired in a trade with Detroit in 1988. He's 25 years old, and he is one of the hardest hitters on the ball club.
Well, rather than do any Aggie jokes, let's just say that the folks back home have to be really happy about what he just did there. That was a huge play.
Clock running, 10:15 to play in regulation. Elway batted down at the line of scrimmage. Ooh, and Rufus Porter was headed for the ball.
Now, once again, you see the fracas is on the field. Seattle has to be smart here. Cortez Kennedy was able to get a piece of that, but they'd be foolish right now to get into arguments or to create any situation where Denver might get a 15-yard penalty. They got to calm down. Here we'll get a chance to see it. Elway looks right and then comes back to the left. He doesn't pump at all. Right here, you get the nice vertical. Cortez Kennedy, that's 290-plus pounds. He got it pretty good.
I'll tell you.
Those sit-ups aren't paying off, though.
All right, big play, 39.
They're coming up like they might blitz the safeties.
Flag on the side. I think they jump.
He's got a free play. Comes back to the middle.
And now a flag, a late hit. Jacob Green got flagged for a late hit.
The coaches don't like that at all. He's screaming at Red Cash, and he can't believe it. John Elway knew, this is the heads-up veteran, he knew he had a free play when he saw the flag go down, so he knew that he could run to the right and throw across his body, which is a very dangerous throw, and get away with it because he knew he was going to get it back.
Look at Jacob Green down on one knee. pleading with Red Cashin.
Well, the thing is, a situation like that, if he has his momentum going, that's one thing. But if it's a flagrant foul, that's another. The officials have to be cognizant of the fact that these are big plays here on third down. Unless he comes across and throws a punch and just clobbers him, don't call that. I mean, like Jack Lambert used to say, let's take the dresses off the quarterback.
Defense, number 26. That penalty is declined. Roughing the passer, number 79. That penalty is accepted. First down.
Oh, my. And the veteran, the defensive captain, the man flagged for the penalty.
Well, you know, I played 9 years against Jacob Green, and there's a lot of things that he is, but one of them is not a dirty player. Here we'll get a chance to see it. Right there, they jump out. John Elway knows that he has a free play. Now he pivots to the right and escapes Jefferson, and here comes Jacob Green right here, going for the sack. Now, right there, he's going to call that. His hands came up in his face. It wasn't necessarily late, but he didn't have to bring his hands up. As a marginal call.
You don't agree with the call?
Well, again, you know, you have to be cognizant of what's happening out on the field. 3rd and 8, it's a big play, and the referee has to say to himself, okay, if this is a flagrant call, then call it. Otherwise, let it ride.
Let the players play the game. 1st and 10 from the 19. Bobby Humphrey. Humphrey is down to the 12-yard line. All right, we are set for another update in New York. Here's Bob Costas at NFL Live.
All right, Fred, back at the Coliseum in L.A., Jay Schrader drops back to throw. He has good protection. He hurls it out to Mervyn Fernandez. The corner released, and in the zone coverage, the safety Larry Griffin should have been over there. He wasn't. Got there late, couldn't make the spinning tackle. 66 yards. Touchdown, Fernandez, 23 Raiders.
Thanks, Bob. 9 minutes, 30 seconds to play, and the clock running here at Mile High. Humphrey. All the way down to the 5-yard line. You know, turnovers have hurt the Seahawks, but penalties, personal fouls have devastated them today.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Those are two, you know, on the one, those is a play of being aggressive. And again, we talked about whether or not that was, you know, that could be debatable. Earlier in the game, you're right. And now they're riding the legs of Bobby Humphries to get into the end zone, who right now is closing in on 100 yards. That's about as closing in as you can get, huh?
You better believe it. Last year he had 6 100-yard rushing games. And now it's 1st and goal from the 5. Quick toss. Mobley. Well, the good news for Denver is he held on. The bad news for Denver, he didn't get in.
Well, that was a good play by Terry Wood in that situation, or excuse me, Eugene Robinson to make the tackle. Wooden puts the rush on Elway, but once again, it's a misdirection play, trying to get the tight end out in the flat all alone. Right there's nobody to block Wooden because the guy that's supposed to block him is Mobley, who's out there in coverage. Now, see, that to me looked very similar to the Jacob Green situation.
And no flag there.
And no flag, and that's it. I don't understand that. It's inconsistent.
That's the view the offensive linemen from Denver have. 2nd and goal from the 2. Play action. Elway just dumped it. Ned Bolker, the rookie out of Notre Dame, was pressuring him.
That's one of 5 rookies that they'll play on defense, and the former Notre Damer made a good job coming up the middle, and Elway actually had the tight end open in the middle of the field, but was forced to throw it away. The savvy of the veteran pays off there. Elway was really sharp.
Well, now he's faced with a 3rd and goal from the 2-yard line.
Well, they're going to go with a 4 wide receiver set in this situation, but I wouldn't be surprised. One of the more effective plays because they have such a great athlete at quarterback as John Elway. Take a shot at the possibility of him going with a quarterback draw.
Shovel pass, touchdown.
Flag's down, flag on the field.
But there's a marker. Hold everything. We've got a marker on the field.
What happens in this situation, Fred? We'll give Red Cashin a chance to make the call. The lineman will pull out, and if the lineman pulls out ahead of Steve Sewell and he's downfield, that's what's going to happen in this situation.
Illegal downfield, number 60 of the offense. 10 yards, still 3rd down.
Gerald Perry and pulling probably got downfield too quick, and as a result, you'll get a chance to look at it right here. There is, he's already downfield right there making a block. That's a good call by the official. Heads up, particularly the fact that inside the 2-yard line, the last thing you're thinking about is a shovel pass. That's a heads-up job by the official to see that Perry was indeed downfield.
Gerald Perry just a little too excited on that play, getting out to lead, and it cost his glove.
See, people don't realize that this really is a forward pass.
Right.
If, for instance, Steve Sewell drops the ball, it's an incompletion. It's not a fumble. So he needs to wait back just like any other pass play.
And now Elway wants to call a timeout and talk it over with Dan Reeves. Todd, we talked about Elway, and we talked about what they're thinking about on the Denver sideline. What are they talking about on the Seattle sideline?
Well, in this situation now at the 12-yard line, if they can hold Denver to a field goal, they've got to feel really good about themselves, because then they're only a touchdown down. I think that in this situation, they're going to be a little bit more conservative. We've mentioned that throughout the second half, they've come with some safety blitzes. I wouldn't look for them to do that in this situation. I look for them to zone the end zone, possibly give up a 5, 6, 7-yard play, but keep them out of the end zone, because if they can force them to kick a field goal, they know that they're still one score away from tying the game.
On the other hand, Denver in this situation on 3rd and goal from the 12.
Well, I think that he's going to have to come up with some sort of play to where he might get a chance to go to the 3 wide receivers on one side and flood that zone so they can get one opening there in the secondary.
Regardless of what happens, there's still a lot of time left with 7 minutes and 50 seconds.
But again, the difference between going up 7 and going up 11 is monumental at this point. Seattle has to keep Denver out of the end zone.
Elway will work out of the shotgun. Bratton made the reception, but Robert Blackman made sure he didn't get up.
Well, once again, I was surprised by that. Jefferson did indeed come on the blitz, and he forced him to throw short. A good play by Blackman to keep Bratton down. Here we'll get a chance to see from the right side of your screen. You'll see number 26 flying in there to almost get him, but there he throws it a little bit too low. It's a nice catch by Bratton, but it's a moot point because it's only a 2-yard gain. Thus, they have to kick the field goal.
So right now, a victory for the Seahawks, keeping them out of the end zone.
Absolutely.
David Treadwell out of the hold of Kubiak. 27-yard attempt. And he extends the Broncos' lead to 7 points. 7:08 to play. Seattle will have the ball when we come back. Rogan and Todd Christensen, Mile High Stadium in Denver. You see the story. 31-24. It's a 7-point game. 7 minutes and 8 seconds to play in regulation. Derek Lavelle and Chris Warren awaiting the kick of David Treadwell. Warren 2 yards deep. Will have a run. Warren up the middle. Warren, it's a foot race to midfield, to the 30, and run out of bounds by the kicker.
One of the best part of Seattle's team is their special teams. Rusty Tillman takes great pride in that. We have a player down on the field. But what a run back by Warren.
71 yards. Take another look.
Well, here we get a chance to see he's following the edge right there. Someone just goes down on the field. Right in front of him there, Heller gets a good block on Ty Allen, and that springs him to the sidelines right here. It's a foot race. Wyman Henderson has the angle on him, and of course you're going to see the kicker come over here and shove him out of bounds, or at least attempt to, as he gets stiff-armed there at the 30. But that's a huge play for the Seahawks to set him up 3 first downs away from a touchdown.
Down on the field for the Denver Broncos is reserve tight end Chris Verhulst, 6'2", 249 in his 3rd year. Signed as a Plan B free agent this season from Houston.
Fred, this telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, and it is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Denver Broncos and the National Football League is prohibited.
Whose audience?
Our audience.
All right.
It appeared that Chris Verhulst might have been the man that dove down here. Right here, you're going to get a chance to see right there.
He just went down.
He just went down. The turf reached up and grabbed him. The same thing happened to me in 1980 when I was playing the Philadelphia Eagles. The turf just reaches up and grabs you. And sometimes the unevenness of the field, that will occur. That's really sad, because it's one of those situations where you say, you know, I didn't mean to, but I got hurt. And hopefully it isn't serious.
While we have a moment, here's a look at the ticker. The Raiders trying to jump out to 3-0 with a comfortable lead over Pittsburgh. San Francisco and Atlanta still a ball game. Niners lead by 9, and Philadelphia has increased its lead over the Rams in a big game at Anaheim Stadium.
That's a big surprise. I think a lot of people assumed that Philadelphia was going to go 0-3, but maybe having Keith Jackson back helped them emotionally.
All right, it's 1st and 10 for Dave Krieg from the 32 of Denver. That's Ron Heller in motion. He's inside the 25-yard line. Warren Powers on the stop, and you see the clock continuing to run.
Once again, an 8-yard gain. At the very outset, Fred, we had talked about the fact that the loss of the safeties was crucial. Both Dennis Smith and Steve Atwater are both over 6'3" and both over 200 pounds, and their strong suit is playing almost like linebackers. They are big hitters, people that come up and support the run, and that's where Denver has been hurting, and that's one of the reasons why Fenner is having such a good game.
2nd and 2. Heller in motion. Fenner. Ooh. Didn't get around the outside, but more importantly, didn't lose the ball. It looked like he was bobbling it for a second.
That's one of the few bad decisions Fenner has made today. He should have stayed up inside. He'd have had the first down. He didn't have a big play, but he would have definitely had the 2 to 3 yards. By cutting to the outside, he let pursuit catch up to him, and now they have a big 3rd down play coming up.
All right, this has to be one of the biggest 3rd downs of the game for the Broncos. Elliott Smith has checked out, and Alton Montgomery has checked in. What are you doing if you're Seattle?
Well,